On this week's episode of Inside the Pocket, we have a lot to talk about as we were off last weekend. We did our fantasy football draft, so we'll be going over that as well as week one projections of the NFL regular season. We also got some other sports news for you guys, some wow stories of the week, what we would do if we were president, some conspiracy theories, got a long Tinder talk, some debatables, a couple fun ideas for you guys, and a beer review of Modus Mandarina Indian Pale Ale.
I do have a question, Gavin. Why is it that you're always the one who does the opening intro to our show?
Because you actually do the real intro to the show, and I just kind of do the overview. So let's go.
Inside the Pocket, it's Austin Robinson, and with me as always is my brother and my best friend Gavin.
What's going on, guys? It's real nice of you to say.
We got, thank you. We have so much new stuff.
Yeah, we got some new mics this week. We didn't think they would be in for a couple more weeks, but I had a busy couple weeks. We apologize for not having a podcast last Monday for you guys, but we got a good one now.
We're really just saying that because we feel bad, but at the same time, we also enjoyed the day of not actually recording and doing whatever we wanted. But yeah, we're totally sorry.
Yeah, but it definitely you'll have a nice podcast to listen to this week over your Labor Day weekend. And if you're not listening to Labor Day, then maybe you're listening to it while you're going back to work on Tuesday. I'm sorry that you have to be back at work, but we are too, so I really don't feel that bad for you.
No, I'm definitely going to be doing things with work.
What have you been up to since the last time we did a podcast?
Well, since we put a little bit of hold on golf, which I'm telling you right now, guaranteed next weekend, Pheasant Run, you're going the fuck down.
You will not beat me in your wildest wet dreams from now on.
Oh my God, I'm going to beat you.
You have taught me all that you can teach me, and now I'm just better.
I'm going to beat you by 12
I'm just
strokes.
better.
No, you're not. You got lucky. I was on an off day. But what I've been doing while we were off is I've just been, being me, cleaning up the house, going to bed early, doing normal stuff.
It did need to be clean because your dog sheds like a motherfucker.
I know. My dog sheds more than there were ashes in the Holocaust. So it's just fucking everywhere. If you can imagine how much fur a dog... Like, I have a husky. So my husky sheds so much that I have a black couch and it's white.
Yeah.
Like, if you get in my truck for work and you get out... You were white.
It looks like everything in your house is white shag.
Yeah, no, pretty much. That's one good thing is if I don't vacuum my carpet, it actually looks cleaner than when I do vacuum it. Because with her fur on the ground, it makes my carpet look whiter.
Yeah. So last weekend, when we didn't do the podcast, I was actually on a little mini vacation with my girlfriend's family in Lake of the Ozarks. They got a pretty big house. They had lots of rooms. Everybody was really comfortable. Had a good time. There's a little bit, we played some games like, what's that meme? It's kind of like Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
But you match like a caption with a meme, and there's a lot of pictures of Obama in it, in memes that he did, and all the older guys really don't like him.
Oh, they really don't like Obama? Why?
Yeah.
Because he's black? Are they racist?
No, just because they weren't that happy with what he did, and probably because they're a little bit racist.
I bet you it's because they're racist.
Probably a little bit of both.
I bet you 100% they're racist.
Yeah, it made for some funny freestyles because there's a card in there called Freestyle where you make your own meme, and it basically
was the game called What Do You Meme?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not Cards Against Humanity.
No, but it's similar to that, but it's What Do You Meme?
Okay.
That's what we played.
Okay.
And there were a bunch of pictures of Obama in memes, and anytime somebody had a freestyle, it basically turned into a political bashing.
So, like, did anybody get really heated over that? Because I feel like a political standpoint of a card game would make it a little bit, like, not fun.
Yeah, a little bit. But it was funny because they were all hammered and just going off on Obama. So it was fun. But, yeah, we did that. I partook in some vegetables.
Vegetables?
Yeah.
Like greens?
Yeah, they were green. They grow out of the ground, which is kind of a definition of a vegetable.
Something you get at Subway or something that you get like on an obscured alley in St. Louis?
Well, you can kind of take your guess. I didn't actually eat them. You cooked them in a certain way and partook of them in a gaseous form. And it was pretty enjoyable. Something I don't typically do, but it was kind of nice because the first day we were there, I drank more than anybody else. I'm pretty damn sure. And
Let's brag
everybody
a
was,
little.
yeah, no big deal. And I'm pretty sure everybody was just plastered, but I was just kind of like, I have a brother that's a really bad influence, and this is just a normal day for
A
me.
younger brother that's a really bad influence.
Yeah.
Which is really reversed roles.
Yeah, you
Sorry,
shouldn't
Gavin,
be.
I let you down.
Yeah, you shouldn't be proud of that. I am a little disappointed, but it was weird because the day that we did do that, it didn't make me feel that weird. It was just kind of like, oh, I actually feel like I'm drinking now. This is pretty nice, and I don't feel like full from all the alcohol that I'm drinking because I just breathed something in.
So you didn't eat any vegetables?
N- Well, we ate a little vegetables. They had some vegetables to eat, but the other vegetables were a lot more enjoyable.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we did that. We I've also lately, so after that I came straight home and then had to go straight out to Chicago for some training. And while I was there, it was training for some of the flooring things that I do. And while I was there, at one point they were going to take us out for a free steak dinner.
Oh.
But I'm so antisocial that I turned it down and just stayed in my hotel room and ordered Chinese and watched The Office and played a golf game on my phone and thought of, podcast content. I made up some little things that we'll be posting on our social medias. So you're welcome to all the listeners for my deep-seated depression and anti-socialism. So, yeah.
Your loneliness and sad state is what's bringing us here today.
Yeah, so you're all welcome. I'm dedicated to the game. We got new mics. If the podcast sounds a little different, that's because we upgraded the equipment a little bit. I hope it sounds good. I hope everybody's liking it. Me and Austin aren't basically making out while we're trying to talk into a shitty microphone. So we actually have a little bit more legit setup. We're going to be investing more in this. And some of it will come to the help of our awesome sponsorships through Barrel's Tap House and the Vape Store. So shout out to both of them. We're actually going to be posting a little bit more on them on our social media. So if you're interested in either of our sponsors, be sure and check them out on our social medias. We'll be sharing some of their stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
I know we said it last episode, but I believe actually this next weekend is the grand opening of the vape store.
Yeah, the grand opening was slated for a couple weekends ago, but their cash register didn't show up, so they had no way of actually selling and collecting money from shit. So they'll be opening soon, and we're actually going to be there taking pictures. We might do a little interview. We might record a couple things there. So if you're interested, right off Mexico Road, right next to the Quick Trip at the intersection of Highway K and Mexico Road in O'Fallon, Missouri, there's a small strip store there. Be sure and check it out. It's the Vape Store. We're also going to be having a coupon code coming out soon, so be sure and come hang out with us. And yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, definitely go there because it helps us provide awesome content to you guys. And the more sponsorships we get and the more successful that those companies are, the more successful we'll be.
So yeah, go Vape Store.
Yeah, go Vape Store. We did our fantasy draft this morning and had a lot to drink.
A little bit more than I think anyone really anticipated. Everybody else there really kind of got waters and sodas or one beer, and me and you ordered pitchers and got pickle shots right off the off the gun.
Yeah.
People were like, "Oh fuck, this is about to be a time."
It's 11 o'clock in the morning, and everybody else. I mean, I was glad to see such a turnout for our draft.
Yeah,
and I'm thinking people are going to be a lot more involved this year. But I also think it would be fun possibly next year. So we have our league that we do, but I was thinking we might start another league for Inside the Pocket and invite the first few subscribers or people that might be interested into
some
it.
Viewers that are like common viewers, somebody who seems like loyal fans. We can get a league of like 8 to 12.
Yeah, we'll do a little league on that. And so if you're interested in that, go on to iTunes. We're on there now. Be sure and subscribe, comment, and review. That helps the podcast. The more reviews and comments that it gets, the more often Apple will share it with other people. So if you were a listener, be sure and do that for us. We appreciate it so much. We're also on YouTube and SoundCloud, so be sure and go to those platforms and like and comment on those.
Big shout out to Link 2, calling me the man, the myth, and the legend on the comment section. I'm a real big fan of that kind of comment because I do believe I am a man, a myth, and a legend.
That's a little bit narcissistic, but I don't blame you because I'm a little bit depressed that I haven't got a positive comment on there. So maybe somebody could get on there and boost my self-esteem by doing that. So in our fantasy football and NFL section, we'll go over our draft that we kind of had. Is there anything else that you've been up to the past couple weeks, Austin?
Not too god awful much, just a lot of masturbation and a lot of beers being drank.
All right, well, I'm happy to hear that. We're going to go ahead and get ready and jump into our NFL section of the podcast. All right, so our fantasy league, the Yeah Football League, we did our draft this morning. Went pretty well. We actually had a good turnout of some of the guys. We got some new members in it this year from what we had last year. We gave our reigning champ Drew Adcock his ring. It was very nice, even though he dropped the motherfucker
on the ground. And
yeah.
the biggest mistake from you guys, since you guys aren't commissioners, it's actually the Yeah Fantasy League, not the Yeah Football League.
Okay, well, I mean, it's not an actual football league. It's a fantasy league.
Yeah, that's why it's called the Fantasy League, not the Football League.
You just said it was the football league.
No, you said it's the Football League. I corrected you saying it's the Fantasy League.
Yeah, well, you just fucked up when explaining it, so suck
I did not. We'll go. You know what? Leave this in, and we'll let you guys tell us who is right.
Yeah. It's the Yeah Fantasy League. Yes. Am I right, Mr. Commissioner?
Yeah, you're correct.
Even though I feel like I do just as much work in there as you do. We did our draft today.
You son of a bitch.
We're going to kind of go over our lineups, let you decide who win, because it'll be pretty interesting, because Austin and I play each other week 1, so he's going to suck my cock.
We're going to go position against position.
Okay.
Of our lineup.
We'll just break it down back and forth.
Okay.
And then we'll go over our bench players. My quarterback was Cam Newton running. I like the scrambler quarterbacks when it comes to fantasy, because they're also picking up some yardage on the ground as well as their passing touchdowns and stuff like that. And Cam Newton's one of the best. You can't really deny that. He is a fucking beast.
I got Deshaun Watson as my quarterback, even though he's coming back from injury. When the dude was in play, he was a powerhouse, and you know that they're going to keep him on like the leaner side and keep him like more in the pocket, since he was injured last year. And with a staff like DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller at his disposal and Lamar Miller in the backfield, you know they're going to be getting some nice slant plays or dump out plays to his receivers, and even that deep ball to Fuller when he's going downfield. He picked up 7 touchdowns in 3 games whenever he was healthy, so I'm really expecting a big game and a big show out for week 1.
And he won't be afraid to scramble if he has to. The dude can run. My first running back that I picked up was Alvin Kamara. The dude went off last year with his tandem with Ingram. The dude is just a stud, so I made sure and pick him up early on. I'm very confident in his abilities this year in fantasy.
Mine's Todd Gurley at my running back 1.
You can't be mad at that.
No, you can't be upset about that.
I actually wanted him, but it kind of came to that little bidding war situation between us.
We did an auction draft, by the way.
Yeah, we did an auction draft this year, not a snake. So there were some battles. There were some heated battles that went on. Even late in the rounds, we had some good ones going on. But you and I kind of came down on...
Came down on what?
Gurley.
Oh, yeah.
And so it came to the wire where you're kind of in
back and forth.
So I ended up just letting you take him. I ended up picking up Fournette, though, after that. So, Kamara and Fournette's pretty good running back core to have as your main running backs to start out. So I'm pretty happy with that. Who'd you get for your second running back?
I was able to pick up Christian McCaffrey at a pretty decent price at like $20. I know he didn't put up a lot of numbers last year.
He got hurt also last year.
He did. And I'm expecting him to come out and also have a pretty good season, because normally when you have a player who gets hurt the season before, they come out and they actually maintain the rest of the season.
So as far as rookie running backs last year, Fournette, McCaffrey, and Delvin Cook all went out.
Yeah, and I'm expecting all of them to have pretty good seasons. I don't think you're going to see any of them go out early in the season.
Yeah, the wide receivers I kind of played a little laxed on. I picked up Larry Fitzgerald and Adam Thielen for my core wide receivers. Larry Fitzgerald's getting a little older, but he's always one of those guys that it seems like he just doesn't stop producing. And Adam Thielen had himself a year last now. I know he's listed as questionable on the ESPN app right now, but I think the dude's going to have a good year.
I was able to pick up Julio Jones and T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton I picked up because he's my favorite player in the NFL, given I'm a Colts fan, and T.Y. Hilton is like my boy. I just always follow him heart through and heart out. Even though Julio Jones had a rough season last season, I like to think that he's going to have a bounce-back season with Matt Ryan and then picking up Calvin Ridley. I think that's going to give Julio a chance to get more down-the-field balls or over-the-middle balls. He might not get as many touchdowns, but I think he's going to accumulate as much, if not more, yardage because of Calvin Ridley being in the game for the Falcons now.
And they also got Austin Hooper and Manu Sanu, so they got a nice receiving core there, and Atlanta, and I would know because I'm an Atlanta guy, so it'll be kind of nice that we're
We
rooting
also
for
had a
the
bidding
same
war
team.
right there for a little bit.
Yeah, and so it'll be nice to see you rooting for my team a little bit with Julio Jones. I think he's also going to have a little bit of a bounce back season. I at least hope so after his last season. My tight end that I was able to pick up was Zach Ertz from Philadelphia. He had a pretty good year last year. I've definitely had him in years where he was a bust, but after the Super Bowl win, I feel like they utilize Zach Ertz a lot, and I think he's going to be a big player for him this year in the NFL.
Nice. And I know you're a big tight end player.
Big
And
fan of the tight ends.
for my tight end, I was able to pick up Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
And Travis,
he's got a real tight end.
Yeah, he's a real tight end. I think he's going to be more of a receiving tight end than anything because he's always been kind of like that. I'm not a big fan of watching over tight ends. Really, the only ones I ever really paid attention to were Antonio Gonzalez and Rob Gronkowski when he came in, and Antonio Gates when he was big. So
Who's back this year? He actually got signed since Henry
by the
went
Chargers
down.
since what's his name went down. What was his name?
Henry.
Yep, since Henry was down. So yeah, I picked up Travis Kelce because he's one that I knew that is accumulating touchdowns. I believe last season he had 8 touchdowns.
Nice.
So I'm happy having him as my starter tight end.
Gotcha. I'm actually going to jump ahead to our defense, and I'll kind of incorporate the flex spot with the other bench spots that we have.
Okay.
Since that's a position that typically bounces around a lot.
Who did you have at tight end, though?
Tight end Zach Ertz.
Oh, okay.
If you would have paid attention to what I was saying literally 10 seconds before you talked.
I was just making sure that's, you get it.
Yeah, okay. Well, pay attention because I'm about to tell you my defense, the Minnesota Vikings. I really wanted to get the Jacksonville Jaguars, but it became that was probably one of the biggest heated ones that we had when it came to the end of the draft, and I ended up making Drew pick up Jacksonville for $14 in the draft, and so it went back and forth. We were the ones that had the most money towards the end, but I ended up letting him pick them up, and I also could have picked the Eagles, but I kind of liked Minnesota, and I actually turned to you for a little bit of advice on that when we were doing it, and we kind of decided that you'd pick up the Eagles and I would pick up Minnesota.
Yes, and I do have the Eagles as my defense whenever you were right next to me, and I knew you were going to get into the bidding war because I had spent a little bit more money and I was kind of on the rougher end. And since I've been in fantasy a little bit longer than you, and you had more money, and you tapped me, and you're like, "Yo, which one of these?" And I
because I can take whichever one you really want, but I'm asking you which one.
I would have, in your position, I would have rather wanted the Minnesota Vikings. That's why I told you go for the Minnesota Vikings. But knowing you're going to leave the Eagles, I'm going to take the Eagles.
Oh, for sure, because they definitely, they won a Super Bowl, so they know.
Yeah, they have a solid defense.
After that, my kicker, I kind of was kicking myself because I wasn't paying attention because I was enjoying some delicious food and drinks.
That was a good move right there.
And I didn't get Bryant from the Falcons that I really wanted. I've had him almost every year that I've done fantasy. The dude's a stud, and being a Falcon, he's definitely a fan favorite on my part, but I went ahead and picked up Will Lutz from the Saints.
Which was another thing you asked me about.
Yeah, and I think it was between him and Vinatieri and a couple others, but same situation. I know you being a Colts fan, you would want Vinatieri.
And I picked him up.
And the fact that he might break the all-time point record.
That's really the biggest thing I want, because if the Colts in the long run, they're kind of a team that will allow people to break that. So even if the Colts do have a mediocre season at most, they're going to let Adam Vinatieri kick as many extra points and field goals at any point.
I could see him be like, "Yo, Vinny, it's a 64-yarder. You want to go for it?" And be like, "Fuck it, let's go."
Yeah, and he's gonna be like, "Yeah, sure, I'll fucking try it. I've got to beat that record."
Yeah. So jumping on, who was your kicker? Yeah, you picked up Vinatieri.
Yeah,
right?
Vinatieri.
So going on to our flex through our bench, I'm just going to kind of run through mine real quick, and then you can run through yours.
Okay.
Currently, I have Chris Hogan as my flex for me and Austin's Week 1 showdown, but the remaining players on my bench, I actually went with a lot more wide receivers than I typically would. One of them I might actually be trading to Austin later on because it was somebody that he definitely wanted, so I went ahead and picked him up because he was unable to. I got Sammy Watkins. I have Robbie Anderson, who is my little secret sleeper for the Jets. I think the dude's a stud. I picked up Tevin Coleman for the Falcons because third.
And that's the guy I wanted.
Yeah, he's definitely a third down back as well as a goal line back that they like to use a lot. Devin Funches, who I picked up from the Panthers, which is who Austin would like to have, might might see a trade in the near future. Calvin Ridley, the young rookie from Atlanta, that I think is going to do quite amazing for them. I also picked up David Njoku, who I feel like will help Cleveland a lot with Jarvis Landry and Josh Gordon as wide receivers. I think their tight end, we've seen Cleveland have amazing tight ends in the past with Gary Barnidge, and I also see Matt Ryan also kind of just that little last second fan favorite pickup in case Cam Newton either isn't producing or during the bye week. Had to pick up my dude. Who do you got for your flex through bench positions?
So let me ask you before I go ahead and give you mine. What is your flex player that you're starting week 1?
Chris Hogan.
Okay, you're doing Chris Hogan. I'm doing Jason Howard,
Okay.
the running back for the Bears. But on the bench, I got Aguilar from Philly at wide receiver. I have Adrian Peterson, who I actually threw up there for someone else to grab, but I ended up taking him in for $1. So I can't really complain.
Can't hate a $1 pickup.
Yeah, I'm okay with having Adrian Peterson.
It is amazing to see guys like Adrian Peterson go for $1 when years ago that could have been a first
3 years
pick.
ago, he almost broke the rushing record.
Could have been easily an overall first-round pick in a draft.
No, yeah. I got Danny Amendola on the sideline as well. Even though he's not on New England anymore, you see him over in Miami. He's still who he is, and I believe he's made a name for himself, and I think you're going to see the quarterback targeting him more because he's a wide receiver with a lot more talent and a lot more experience than
now,
the
do you
ones
think
on the
Ryan
squad.
Tannehill is going to be able to utilize him the way that an amazing quarterback like Tom Brady was able to?
I think he'll easily be able to use him because, I mean, he's going to be doing short routes and out routes and things like that, and he's going to go ahead and flip the ball off to him. I think he's going to be the one who takes it.
Nice.
I got Latavius Murray, even though he's the backup to Delvin Cook. But I think you're going to see kind of a Atlanta Falcons transition with Latavius Murray and Delvin Cook. I think Delvin Cook's going to take the ball about 70 to 60% of the time. But if they get into the goal range, they're going to be putting Latavius Murray in to do those short runs to get into the goal scoring area. So I picked him up for a player that if I think they're facing a tough defense that's not going to allow the big run, but can give up an easy goal front run, he's the kind of running back they're going to want in the game.
And you saw him and McKinnon both do really well after Delvin Cook went down. So I can see him doing very well along with Delvin Cook since McKinnon went to the 49ers and is now injured with a possible ACL injury. So I think those two will be a nice little tandem, like you said. I see a lot of the teams like possibly Minnesota as well as the Falcons and the Saints going with that double back. You know, you also have teams like the Jaguars that have an amazing depth at their running back position.
And with another running back, see, normally I'm really a wide receiver heavy person in my draft. I was really running back heavy because I picked up 3 running backs for my bench, and the third one being Genovi Bernard, who you mentioned a little bit ago. I know Joe Mixon is probably going to take over the ball for Cincinnati overall, but I think in the first few weeks you're going to see Genovi Bernard get it a majority of the time. And I'm hoping he has a few breakout games to maybe make it like a 50-50 split instead of a like 80-20 or 75-25. I'm hoping that maybe they keep him 50-50 for most of the season until Joe Mixon this year makes, after a 50-50 season and Joe Mixon gets more yards and more touchdowns than Genovi Bernard. This year, at least, Genovi Bernard still has a mediocre, nice flex position season.
Is that your entire team right there?
That is.
All right, we're going to go ahead and jump into our week 1 predictions of the NFL week 1 season. All right, Austin, you dumb fuck. What do you got for what do you got for the Thursday kickoff between the Atlanta Falcons and the Super Bowl defending champions, the Eagles?
I'm going to go ahead and take the Falcons.
Yeah, you do.
I think after the preseason showing and knowing that Carson Wentz isn't going to start, you're going to have Nick Foles in there, and Nick Foles playing very, very shittily in the preseason.
Now the Falcons didn't win a single preseason game.
I understand that, but it's going to be a full starting core during the game. And I think that Nick Foles, even though he played really well in the Super Bowl against the Patriots, I think he's not necessarily ready to take on the role as a starting quarterback. The reason he did so good last year is it was amped. He was in the playoffs. He's starting playoffs, Super Bowl, starting.
And you had amazing people around him.
Right. And now that's gone. That is past. That height that he was living is gone. And I think you're going to see the Falcons pretty much just kind of rule over the Eagles in week 1.
And I personally think, not only just because I'm biased because I'm a Falcons fan, I also see them beating them week 1. I think Matt Ryan and Julio Jones are both disappointed in how last season went. And I feel like facing the Super Bowl champions is going to be something that they really feel like they got something to prove this year coming out of the gate. So I think they're going to be coming on strong. After that, we basically have a replay of this last week's preseason game between the Bengals and the Colts. How do you think they're going to fare in the regular season?
I would like to say that the Colts are going to win because I think the Colts are a strong favorite against the Bengals in most situations. However, it being the first game for Andrew Luck coming back into the season while our receiving core really isn't fully intact, we know we have T.Y. Hilton in our backfield. We're not really completely sure who's going to be our starter and secondary and what we're doing. I know we got Eric Ebron and Jack Doyle at tight end, so we have good passing options. The winners ultimately, I think, are going to be the Bengals because the Bengals have less questions on the offense. And on the defensive side, I think the Colts, they do have some strong players in there, but they definitely have gaps in their secondary with their cornerbacks. So I don't think you're going to see a very good defensive showing from the Colts. So I'm going to say that's going to be a close net game. I would say it's probably going to end somewhere around 21-24 Bengals.
Yeah, I also think the Bengals are probably going to take this in week one. You obviously have AJ Green. You have Mixon, who's going to be stepping up. You got Andy Dalton, who's always trying to prove himself. You also have Tyler Eifert on a 1-year prove-it deal. And I really think this year he's going to be aiming to do exactly that. And I think the Colts will be a team that they will be able to prove it to.
Let's go.
Against a team like the Colts. Next, we have the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens. Who do you have in that game?
I'm going to go ahead and take the Baltimore Ravens. I just think they're more established, just like the Colts-Bengals situation. I think the Buffalo Bills have a lot of questions with the quarterback coming in. I think that it's not going to be quite synced as the Ravens will be with Joe Flacco knowing he's going to be the starter for them at the beginning. I think they're going to be able to overtake the Buffalo Bills.
I think the Ravens will have a pretty good squad, although there have been a lot of changes that have happened this year compared to their squad last year. I'm going to go ahead and take the Buffalo Bills because I actually think Josh Allen with a running back like LaShawn McCoy, as well as the weapons that they have at offense, it might be one of those situations where it'll kind of just be a take them by surprise type game. I think it'll be a close game. I think both teams are both kind of on the same field as well as their talents. Both of them have had a lot of mix-ups from last season to this season, but I really think that the running game with LaShawn McCoy is going to be able to help propel them to a win.
Do you think Michael Crabtree being on for the Baltimore Ravens, seeing how he did with the Raiders last year, is going to be able to bring a boost to the Ravens offense compared to the Bills defense? Or are you expecting the Bills defense to be able to keep the Baltimore Ravens offense at bay?
Now, I think it's really going to be, I'm not really sure because neither team is really known for their outstanding offense or defense. I feel like it's going as of now.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's going to be a lot of the offense feeling out the defense in this game with as many changes as both teams have had to face. I think Crabtree is definitely a weapon wherever he goes. And Joe Flacco will definitely enjoy having him to throw to. I think.
Do you expect to see Lamar Jackson at all in the first game?
I would say in the first game you see strictly Joe Flacco.
Okay.
I think right now they're going to stick to him. He's been there for years. But however, I feel like this year overall is going to be almost a prove-it year for Joe Flacco to figure something out, or it's basically going to become a phasing out for him.
Kind of like the Eli Manning situation we had last year when they benched Eli Manning for that game.
Similar, but I almost think I feel like that was a bad call for New York to do with Eli Manning.
I agree it was a bad call, but you knew what they were trying to do. They're trying to show the phasing out of Eli Manning.
And I really feel more that Baltimore feels like, this is their new quarterback that's coming in. And I feel like New York was kind of just trying some things out to see what they could do. But I feel like Baltimore is more set on what they're doing. I feel like they'll give Joe Flacco the benefit of the doubt coming into the season. But if it's a rough start to the season, you might see him hit the bench. After that, we got the Buccaneers versus the Saints. I feel like that's going to be a pretty easy game for the Saints to take away.
Yeah, I believe the Saints are going to run away with that one pretty much all on their own. I don't think the Buccaneers stand a chance against the offense that the Saints have. I think the Saints offense is going to be within the top 4 offenses in the NFL.
You have the ageless Drew Brees along with an all-star studded wide receiver core and wide receivers that shouldn't be taken lightly as well.
Yeah, and they're running backs that are just stacked beyond belief. I mean, Ingram and Kamara right next to each other. I mean, what are you going to do to stop them?
Yeah, after that, we got J.J. Watt and the Texans taking on the Patriots. Do you think Tom Brady's going to make it through that defense, or how do you think that game's going to go?
You know, I like to think that the Texans could take that game, but that's one thing about the Patriots. Every time you think that the Patriots are out of it and that they're not going to win, they do. So I actually am going to take the Patriots in week 1 because I think so many people see the feud that the Patriots had over the offseason with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and everything being so like conglomerated and like there's a problem and is there trouble in paradise? Is there a problem? Should we be pressing the panic button? I assume the Patriots are going to win and show you there's no reason to panic. We're still top tier and we're going to be someone to worry about.
We don't even have a panic button. We're so confident. After that, we got San Francisco 49ers and the Vikings. Vikings had a great year last year. I feel like they have one of the best defenses in the league this year going into it. You got Jimmy G, who's trying to prove himself as a full-time starter
Still
this year.
undefeated in regular season in the NFL.
And I know we talked at one point, what game do you think you could see Jimmy G losing his first game? I could possibly see it first game of the year right here against the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, they have a defense that's not to be taken lightly, and it's not like their offense is that terrible either.
I'm going to go ahead and ride the train. I do believe in magic, and I do believe Jimmy Garoppolo can be someone who brings the 49ers back into old-fashioned 49ers to where they win a majority of their games. And something about that franchise is golden. It's a franchise that's been known to do wonderful things with wonderful people, and I believe Jimmy Garoppolo, given the state that he's had, bringing that team with really nothing on the roster to a competitive team once he got there, I could see him beating the Vikings week 1. We get later in the season, that might change, but in week 1, I can see Jimmy Garoppolo coming in as the young gun and overpowering the Minnesota Vikings in an early matchup.
After that, we got the Tennessee Titans and the Miami Dolphins. This seems like just one of those literally perfectly in the middle of the league teams facing off against each other. But I'm going to go ahead and say that I believe that the Titans will take this one.
Titans and the Dolphins?
Yeah.
Boy, I don't know about that. You know what? I'm going to take the Titans too. I think the Titans have less problems in their core than the Dolphins do because Ryan Tannehill's been there for 3 years now and he's still trying to prove himself. Marcus Mariota is obviously their starter. He's obviously the guy they're going to run through. He might not have shined a whole bunch throughout his last couple years, but you can definitely see that he's the guy that they're preparing for their future for. He's the guy that may have been in for 4 or 5 years and not had the best upshowing, but they're still building around him. They show no lacks of change for having him at quarterback, while the Dolphins, you can see that they're not even too confident in Ryan Tannehill himself.
There's still a lot of uncertainty there.
Yes, they're still not even big fans of the quarterback they have in place.
After that, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars and the New York Giants. I know the Giants are your second favorite team. Do you think they'll be able to get past the powerhouse that is Jacksonville now that Odell Beckham is healthy again, or do you think Jacksonville's defense is still going to be one of those impenetrable walls that New York won't be able to get past?
I think Jacksonville's going to win the game ultimately. However, I do believe it's actually going to be a scoring fest. I do believe that game's going to run up between 60 and 70 points between the two teams together. I believe it's going to be like a 35-28 bout. I don't think it's going to be a 14-7 game or something like that. It's not going to be decided by a field goal. It's going to be decided by a touchdown. It's going to be high points. And I believe ultimately Jacksonville's going to win. But I can tell you right now, Odell's going to score on Jalen Ramsey, and Jalen Ramsey, to start off, after all those comments he made about all the other people, it's going to be a very early shock to the system saying, hey, maybe I was judging people a little too hard. I give it to him for being an all-star defensive player to come out and start talking shit, but I'd love for someone like Eli Manning, who got benched last year and people know he's on his way out the door, and Odell coming off an injury and coming back into the season to score on him, to see the rest of the season play out and see how wrong he was or how right he was.
And I'm actually going to go ahead and take New York in this game. I think they will be able to win this one with ODB coming back healthy. You also have Eli Manning, like you said, on his way out. He has very limited time to possibly break his brother's ring count in the NFL with the amount of time that he has left, as well as the fact that the Jaguars are now missing one of their big offensive weapons in Marquise Lee, who is out.
But they got Dante Moncrief coming in, which was somebody who is solely underthrown the ball while he was in Indianapolis. Being an Indianapolis fan, I knew what Dante Moncrief was about, and I knew what his skill sets were. I believe he was virtually underused and underutilized, and I believe that Jacksonville is going to use him to his full potential and strengths.
So it'll be an interesting game to see between the two. Next, we have a big matchup between rivals, the Cleveland Browns and the Steelers. Who do you think is going to take this one?
I'm going to go ahead and go with the Steelers. I can't really point them out. They got Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell in that defense that's just strong to the core. I don't see Cleveland getting their first win in 2 years against the Steelers in week 1.
It would be a big game for them to pick up week 1, but I'm kind of on the same boat as you. I definitely think Cleveland is vastly improved from their past.
And I would agree with that.
2 seasons, but I definitely don't see the Steelers being the team to beat, especially with their first weekend of the season. After that, we have the Kansas City Chiefs and the Chargers.
I'm going to go ahead and take the Kansas City Chiefs because I'm big out on the Chargers. I don't believe the Chargers are even going to make the playoffs this year. And I believe the Chiefs, just like last year when they came out on the boat against the Patriots, and everybody was like, oh, the Patriots got this game in hand, and the Chiefs came out and blew their fucking doors off with Hunt and Hill going hard as fuck. I know they got Patrick Mahomes at quarterback now, but same case. You had Hunt last year, who nobody really knew who he was. Now you got Patrick Mahomes. People are going to be focused on Hunt. Patrick Mahomes might be able to get some good run yardage or some good pass plays off that they weren't expecting out of a young quarterback like him, especially after seeing him after the preseason last season and how his playmaking ability was and how confident the Chiefs were getting rid of Alex Smith, moving on to Patrick Mahomes. I really don't see a downside to choosing the Chiefs over them.
I still think that Chargers obviously have a chance to do big things in the NFL this year. You got Phillip Rivers, you got Melvin Gordon, you got Keenan Allen, as well as other offensive weapons. They just signed Antonio Gates to another 1-year deal now that Hunter Henry is out again. I think that they definitely have the talent to do things. I feel like there are 2 teams that definitely have a lot of proving that they're trying to do still right now to make their name in the NFL. They obviously have names, but you know what I'm saying, just
Right.
trying to prove themselves in the running. 2 teams that not a lot of people are talking a whole lot about right now. I think it's going to be a great game between the 2, but I'm going to go ahead for this matchup. I think the Chargers still have a chance to make it to the playoffs this season, but I think as far as the first game of the season, that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to come out on top on this one.
Okay, so we're on the same page on that.
On the same page. The next one I have is the Dallas Cowboys versus the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to go ahead and say that I think the Panthers are going to pick this one up just because there's been a lot of talk lately bashing Dak a lot that if Ezekiel Elliott is not in the mix, then Dak's lost. And I've heard a lot of talks on that. I think Dak definitely has offensive weapons other than Elliott that he can get things done with. But I also look at the experience level. Cam Newton obviously has a little more experience than Dak Prescott in the game. I feel like Dak Prescott, being a young guy, still has that proving that he's trying to do. And I feel like Cam Newton and the rest of the Carolina squad is going to go into those things kind of just like, we know what this means. This is just business as usual. And just the experience, I think, is going to lead to Carolina to a win in that one.
I disagree with you. I believe Dallas is going to win that game because I think Dak knows all of the things coming against him in this game. I believe Dak is going to come out slinging. And I expect actually to have a lot more passing yardage than rushing yardage in week 1. I expect to see Dak going out there as hard as he can to show that he is a quarterback of this team and he is going to lead this franchise throughout this season. So I expect week 1 for him to be a big week for Dak. Throughout the entire season, I expect week 1 to be one of his biggest weeks of the season.
After that, we got the Washington Redskins versus the Arizona Cardinals. I want to hear your opinion on that.
It's going to be a big game for Adrian Peterson. Since he went from the Arizona Cardinals and is now on the Redskins, I'd like to see Adrian on the field a lot during the game, I would hope. I'm not certain how it's going to go, knowing how the Cardinals defense is. I would actually even though they don't put up the numbers, they're still a really solid defense. For a pick on who the winner is, boy, that's hard. I just know that the Redskins I know the Cardinals have Larry Fitz out there, but he's more of a veteran leading
got Dave
receiver.
Johnson.
Yeah, I don't think David Johnson is much of a factor. I really don't. I think he had his blow up season. He came out the next year and got hurt. Now you got to see what he does now after taking a year off. He may have a huge game, but I wouldn't be surprised if he rushes for less than 50 yards coming off of that.
I personally think David Johnson has the ability to perform again. I know he's taken a year off, but he had a wrist injury, which means he may not have been healthy enough to run the field, but he's still definitely been healthy enough to do those running exercises. I feel like he's going to be conditioned for the game, and I think David Johnson's going to be just fine in the league, and I definitely see the Cardinals picking up a win in that one.
My bold prediction is that Adrian Peterson has more rushing yards than David Johnson in that game, and I'm also going to take the Redskins over
the Cardinals.
The Cardinals, yes.
All right, well, that'll be a good one to see. Next, we have a Super Bowl rematch between the Seahawks and the Broncos. Who do you think is going to pick up the win in that one?
Seahawks. That's just no doubt. I mean, just look at the two teams. You know the Seahawks are going to win that. They're just the more established team on both ends, offensive and defensive. I mean, the Broncos don't even know what the fuck they're doing at quarterback. Their receivers are mediocre at best. Who even is their running back? I don't know, because the Broncos fucking suck really offensively. So the Seahawks, I think, are going to, their defense is stacked. I think it's going to shut them down, and their offense is, it's definitely top tier within the top 10 or 12 teams in the league. I would put them at, and I just think they're gonna blow the doors off Dallas. I think out of any game in it, that's gonna be the most lopsided. I think Seattle wins by at least 3 touchdowns.
Okay, now they are playing Denver, not Dallas. Just making sure that was you
Yes,
mispronouncing and not confusing
yes.
the teams. So yeah, I also think that the Seahawks definitely at this point have the edge over the Broncos in this game. Next, we have the Chicago.
We've been
Bears.
drinking a lot, so confusing.
If we're slurring words and throwing stuff around, just get the fuck off our dicks. We got the Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers up after that.
I would like to say there's a big thing knowing Khalil Mack's coming to the Bears, but it's so late and after all the preseason, I really don't know if he's going to make that big of a difference on the game plan, because he's still got to learn the whole Bears defensive scheme. But he's such a big player that he might do something still. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Khalil Mack come out and get like 2 or 3 sacks. Like, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think he would.
Yeah, and the Bears, I think, are slowly starting to improve their roster a lot, even on both sides of the field. But I definitely think I'm going to take Green Bay in this game, basically because, I mean, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is someone that you just can't really.
You got Jimmy Graham in tight end as an addition this year. You got Ty Montgomery. You got Adams. You got so many names that aren't big names, but they're definitely people that have proven that they can produce numbers on this team.
Devontae Adams, I think, is highly undersold for Green Bay. So, I mean, I'm taking Green Bay in this game. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to go ahead and run the field because he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I actually think he is the best quarterback in the NFL currently. So I would have no doubt in my mind thinking that they could overcome the Bears.
After that, we got the LA Rams versus the Vegas Raiders. So this is going to be a big one. I definitely think the Rams are going to win this one. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, really. I think the Rams have one of the most improved teams this year. They're a superstar team. I mean, holy fuck.
They have a lot of names on their team, but that's the thing. When you get a team that has so many names and so many people on the roster, it can create
more conflict than just pure talent. A lot of times pure talent doesn't work well with a lot of pure talent, but you never know. They may set their egos aside and say, guys, we have the best team in the NFL right now. If you look at stats and the people that are on our team, we need to make this happen.
I am going against you, though. I do believe the Rams are going to win.
That's what I said.
So I thought you said the Raiders were going to win.
No, the Rams are definitely going to win.
The Rams are definitely going to be.
I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Raiders are definitely not just going to lay down. I think the Raiders will. It'll be a good game.
I think it'll be close to the 4th.
Yeah, I think the Rams at the end of the game will win this one.
Yeah, I don't think it's
going to be a blowout game.
I think they're going to take it away very marginally in the 4th. I think the Rams are going to win by at least 2 touchdowns. I think
it'll not till the 4th quarter.
Yeah, not till the 4th. I believe once the 4th quarter hits, The Rams are definitely gonna, because they're gonna start just playing the game. They're gonna be being them.
Well, they'll be playing the game all 4 quarters.
Well, absolutely, they'll be playing the game all 4 quarters. But I think the first 3 is gonna be players being like, "Look at us, we're the LA Rams. We got the best fucking team in football." And then it's gonna be real close. They're gonna be like, "Fuck, this shit's close."
Maybe
and then
we should prove that we're the best team.
Then I think in the fourth quarter, the Rams are really gonna put their like star-studded team aside and play football. And John Gruden, being a new coach who's stuck in the 80s, he's got to realize that the game's changed. And I think week 1 against the Rams is a horrible time for him to learn his lesson, but that's when he will.
After that, the final game we got is the Monday night game against the Jets and the Lions. I'm going to go ahead and say the Jets steal one here. If there's a team that they could sneak one by,
you think?
I think that they can beat the Lions. I feel like they have some underrated players on their team. I understand they're probably, obviously, one of the worst teams in the NFL, but I don't think they will go unvictorious like the Browns did. And I think the Detroit Lions is a team that they can definitely do it against. I feel like 2 of the quarterbacks that get in their own heads the most are Phillip Rivers and Matt Stafford. They're amazing quarterbacks that have yet to do something to really brag about. And Matt Stafford is obviously a great player to have on your fantasy team, but when it comes to his own personal accomplishments for Super Bowls and playoff appearances and stuff like that, I could see the Jets. Jets obviously aren't making the playoffs this year, but I can see like right out of the gate, they put everything they have into it and maybe steal a game week 1.
Okay. All right, in this game, I really don't have a favorite in this game. I don't know who's going to win this one. If I were to guess, just strictly off of pure instinct, I would say Detroit. But I could definitely see the Jets taking this one. The only reason I would say Detroit is because I'm really excited to see LeGarrette Blount getting his first ever time being the solo back.
Yeah.
Because now that he went from the Eagles to Detroit after winning the Super Bowl, knowing what LeGarrette Blount did for New England back in the day, he's a fucking powerhouse.
Oh, for
sure. The dude ain't somebody that you lax on. He's a workhorse. He's willing to go the distance and put the work in and go hard as fuck. But I just haven't seen a team use him correctly until the Eagles. And the Eagles did that right with him and Jay Ajayi. And now splitting them and putting him strictly as the main running back, I think you're going to see a lot of hard-nosed football from Detroit. And that's something that's not really in the league anymore. And I would not be surprised if that is able to overcome the Jets.
All right. Well, that pretty much wraps up our week 1 predictions. We're going to go ahead and jump back into a little bit of fantasy talk. Austin's got some of the top running backs and wide receivers that you should be looking at in the later rounds of your draft. All right, Austin. So fill us in. Who do you got as far as wide receivers and running backs towards the late rounds of the draft?
I'm going to start off with my wide receivers. I believe my number 1 of the top 5 wide receivers that you can pick up on late end of the draft, not the top 5 total, but on your late end, when you're coming towards the end of your snake or the end of your auction, when you're running low on money or you're trying to pick up players that the other people didn't pick at the early beginnings. Will Fuller, I throw him up here because Deshaun Watson. Last year in the first 3 weeks, Will Fuller picked up 7 touchdowns in 3 weeks. He was a huge player. I had him. He accumulated me over 70 points in 3 weeks, him alone. Fucking stud. Second, I'm putting Allen Hurns in there. Dez is no longer the mainstay target in Dallas, and you're going to see Allen Hurns taking a majority of those throws from the Dak Prescott that I mentioned earlier is going to be going to being a sling arm quarterback week 1. I think you're going to see him getting a lot of receptions, and I think it's going to make him to be a good guy to pick in your later rounds because a lot of people aren't going to be looking at him because you're not really looking at the Dallas wide receiving core. And he's going to be the number 1 target for him. Third, I have Danny Amendola, no longer on the Patriots, but he's still got the spunk that he had from them. He knows what he's doing. He's a short route receiver. He's deadly in the end zone when you're within 15 yards. He's going to be a guy that's just going to be hella fucking dangerous for anyone to pick up. He might only get 3 catches a game, but I almost guarantee one of those catches are going to be a touchdown. So you're going to be getting somewhere between 6 to 9 points for him every week. Calvin Ridley is actually my other one because you know that dude's going to be going deep. He's got other people on that field that got other people on that field that they're looking for more notably, like Julio Jones or Devontae Freeman or Coleman if he's in, or who's the tight end, Austin Hooper. They're going to be looking at him. They're going to be looking at those guys much more than Calvin Ridley. And I think Calvin Ridley is going to come out and he's really going to end up being within the top 20 receivers, and having him as a backup on your roster, I think he's a top-notch kind of guy to have in your flex position from week to week.
I think he's going to be one of those big rookies that makes a big name for themselves early on.
Now, for my fifth one, it's actually a two-parter. I have Jordy Nelson and Amari Cooper for the Raiders. Either one of them, if you want to take one or the other, I think they're both top-notch receivers, and I think they're both going to get a lot of attention from Derek Carr at the Raiders. I think you're going to see Amari Cooper getting a lot of catches because he's a mainstay on that roster since they got rid of what's-his-fuck going to the Ravens that I mentioned earlier. Amari Cooper, since he's been there, they have more chemistry. But Jordy Nelson coming from Green Bay as a mainstay target for Aaron Rodgers, now he's coming to the Raiders. Derek Carr knows he has a receiver who's used to catching those really, really important balls from somebody at an important time of the game. So I think you're going to see two receivers who are used to being in an attention line getting a lot of attention at the same time. So your number 1 and 2 receiver on that roster are both kind of number ones. So whichever one you choose, if they're on your bench or on your starting line, I think you're going to be getting points out of them week to week regardless.
Nice. What about your running backs?
Running backs, number 1, I got Telvin Coleman.
Telvin? You mean Tevin?
Tevin? Is it Tevin? I thought it was Telvin. I've always thought it was Telvin.
Tevin Coleman.
Oh, well, fuck me, I guess.
Yep.
With Atlanta, I just think I think in the league right now, aside from the Ingram Kamara stance, I think Coleman has the best, stand up number 1, running back situation that he's not able to be the number 1 running back in. I think he could lead an offense. Any other team in the league, if he went to him, he'd be a number 1 running back. But at Atlanta, he's not because they got Freeman ahead of him, which just sucks for his career. But I still think he's a kind of guy playing that number 2 spot. He is the most just influential second person. Like what we said before multiple times to other people. Freeman might lead you all the way down the field, but Coleman's going to get you that touchdown.
And I think Coleman's one of those guys, he's a little more durable than Freeman, and that's why they like using him at goal line, and he's one of those guys that you can count on him picking up some good points every week, regardless of if he's the main starter or not.
I need you to wake the fuck up, Gavin, because I'm getting real deep into my fucking things right now, and number 4 is Jay Ajayi.
I'm woke.
I got number 4 at Jay Ajayi. I know he didn't have the best of season last year because LeGarrette Blount was on that team as well. So he was limited to his backfield carries. They were kind of 50-50.
But now he's got a Super Bowl defending team to his
Exactly. And now that they got rid of LeGarrette Blount, I think you're going to see him take on 75 to 80% of the reps in the backfield. And he can also run easily as a slot receiver or a dump back running back. And I think you're going to see him getting the ball a lot more, kind of like Le'Veon Bell for the Steelers. I don't think he's going to be nearly as effective as Le'Veon Bell, but I still
doubt it.
You're definitely going to see the attempts made for Jay Ajayi to get the ball. You're definitely going to see him be a mainstay in Philly. He's not someone that they're just going to kind of have on the team and run about and see what he does and then take him off the field. You're definitely going to involve him in every play that you can play. After that, the guy who left the team, LeGarrette Blount. I have LeGarrette Blount for Detroit. I think he's going to come out. I think he's actually going to get a majority of the carries for that team because of what he did for the Eagles and for the Patriots at his time. Like I said, with hard-nosed football, nowadays that's not what offensive run. But LeGarrette Blount is an old-style running back. He's a dude who will run over whoever at any time, no matter the situation. He's almost kind of like an Earl Campbell-type running back or a Steven Jackson-type running back. He's a guy who's not scared to take the ball and go for a long run, but he's also not scared. If you need 2 yards, he'll fuck anyone up he can to get those 2 yards. After that, I'm taking Frank Gore. He's getting up there in age, but I've been taking Frank Gore for a lot of years in my fantasy league, and he's definitely averaged for me every game 7 to 9 points. Not for for a backup or a guy that you're having in your flex position on a week when you have somebody on a bye week, 7 to 9 points is a lot to ask for a guy in your flex position. And Frank Gore consistently gets that every week. I don't think he's a guy that you can ever say doesn't do his job. He's a dude who definitely makes the ball move. He definitely gets first downs and he definitely makes plays. So for you, he's a guy that regardless of where you're at in your standpoint, it's not bad to have him on your team. Number 5, I'm taking Adrian Peterson. And I actually took Adrian Peterson in my drafting on my Yeah Fantasy Football League.
You better say it right.
Yeah Fantasy League.
Bitch.
Yeah. Adrian Peterson, he's just a name. He's a guy that, like, he's like Jordan. When you see Jordan Brands, you're like, holy fuck, that's Jordan. I want Jordan. He's a guy. I know him. He's a stud. Adrian Peterson in the NFL. If you were to name your, top 10 running backs, are you not going to include Adrian Peterson?
He's got to be up there.
He's got to be up there. Everyone would say that Adrian Peterson's somewhat up there, and he's still playing in the league today. So regardless of who you choose at your top 10 all time, you're still going to have Adrian Peterson up there. He's someone that you can have on your roster as a fearful name. And if he does happen to have a breakout game or two, he's still keeping up to his name at a flex position. Maybe not your starter, but at a flex position, he's definitely still coming in.
So you're getting easy wide receiver 2 production out of a flex spot.
Yes, or running back 3 if you're going to throw him at your flex there.
That's what I meant.
I get it.
We get it.
Yeah, you get it.
All right. Well, the only other thing I really had as far as NFL is concerned is I want to talk about Brett Favre for a minute. You watch any infomercials?
You know, I watch them sometimes at like 2 a.m. whenever I'm up, wasted as fuck.
Brett Favre is taking over the infomercial space. He's on Wrangler. He's on those like
Copperfit.
Yeah, Copperfit. He's on everything. You go to any Walmart,
And it's actually
or
Levi,
Target,
not
or
Wrangler.
any of that stuff. Yeah, Levi, that's right. Jeans, you get it.
You get it, the pants you wear.
He's selling a lot of shit. I want to see Brett Favre become the new Billy Mays. Brett Favre is getting into it. I want to see him selling some Sham Wow. I want to see him selling some Kaboom, some Hercules motherfucking hooks. I'm ready to see Brett Favre take over the infomercial space. He was a dominant quarterback in the league, and he's going to be a guy that can make you buy some shit late at night when you're drunk as fuck, don't know what you're doing. Brett Favre is the man for the job. So the only other thing, sports-wise, I even really have to talk about would be Maryland NCAA. So following his team's emotional 34-29 win over number 23 ranked Texas on Saturday, Maryland offensive lineman Elias McKinney waved a giant red flag with the number 79 embedded on it, held it high as he celebrated at the FedEx Field. From the start to the finish of the game, the Terrapins honored their teammate, 19-year-old freshman offensive lineman Jordan McNair, who died June 13th from a heat stroke that he suffered on May 29th. On the Terrapins' first offensive play, Maryland took the field with only 10 players, initially leaving a hole at the right guard position where he would have lined up. Texas, aware of the plan, respectively declined to delay the game penalty. So yeah, it was pretty neat to see that kind of sportsmanlike conduct being performed on the field. You see stuff like that. You know, I've seen videos where, you know, softball players hit a home run, but they tear their ACL at first base and the other team carries them around the base. Anytime sports
that's a class act. The last time you saw 10 players on the field, like on a major program televised, is whenever Sean Taylor died for the Redskins, and they just went ahead and put 10 players on the field on the defense.
And it actually reminded me of that a lot because I've started to watch a lot of the old like 30 for 30s or whatever.
Which I told you to do.
Yeah, and I've been watching a lot of like the football life of a lot of players just to kind of brush up on my football history. And I watched the Sean Taylor one because I always remembered the name, that he was super amazing. And it really reminded me of that, to see like a team so impacted by a player like that they do something like that. And not only the team itself, but see the opposing team take the time to allow that team to show that kind of honoring of the player. It just shows good sportsmanship, and sports can get ugly sometimes. I mean, I'm competitive. I can see it get like that, but you also got to tip your hat to amazing displays of sportsmanship like that.
And out of place, I will say, out of every sport that I've watched, I actually told you this the other day. I called you from my house on like a Tuesday. I was actually watching some YouTube videos of like a really impactful sports like moments. And I will say that soccer throughout the world has a huge honor of respect for teams and like really bad calls. Like in the NFL, if a bad call happens, the team takes it. They're like, oh, you're calling pass interference on that? Perfect. That's what we wanted. And they take it. But like in a game like soccer, I've seen it multiple times where a guy will go up and run for a goal and a goalie will dive and like grab the ball but knock over the kicker. And they go, well, now there's a penalty kick because the goalie knocked over the guy kicking the ball, and the dude who goes to kick the penalty kick just kicks it out of bounds. He's like, no, he did all he could do. That's what he had to do.
And I remember times like that playing soccer in high school where a player would like go for a ball and get hurt, and it would go out of bounds. So it was technically our ball, but then we would actually throw it to the opposing team because it's like your dude got hurt. He didn't just kick it out of bounds. He literally got fucked up and the ball rolled out of bounds. So it'd be kind of, I mean, we could obviously take advantage of that situation, but at the same time, we're not going to do that because we're not dicks.
So I wonder if that makes something to the NFL and other sports, actually American-made sports like the NBA, who is a big foul-driven game, and the NFL, that's a big pass interference and helmet-to-helmet game. That is the intercontinental games more reluctant, like more consistent on morality than the ones in America. Like in the ones in America, you seem to try and draw fouls. But throughout the world, you see games like soccer and hockey where when those fouls happen, they're kind of more forgiveful. Even after, like in hockey, they'll beat the fuck out of each other. And they go to at the end of the game, they're like, hey, good game, man. No, it was great.
And I can see they definitely each try to draw their fouls for the sake of helping their team. But at the same time, when it comes to something serious, they know when it's like, oh, we're strategically drawing a foul and that was kind of fucked up. We're just going to give the ball back to you.
Yeah, I guess there's a difference in that.
And so I definitely like that in sports. It's one of the only places you see that kind of give and take between people when it comes to accomplishing a goal with your teammates, but then the team banding together to make the decision to show their respect to the other team. Now that we're pretty much wrapped up on sports,
Yep.
We're going to go ahead and jump right into some segments.
I have one more NHL thing.
Oh, what's your NHL
My
thing?
NHL thing is Brodeur left the Blues, sadly.
That is sad because I like that dude and I'm a Blues fan.
And
so just
he's-
not a good story. You might as well not even talk about it.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about it because as much as I'm sad to see him leave, he's actually heading back to the Devils to be in the offense for the Devils, like on their coaching staff. Like watching over who they draft and what they're going for.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see the king of goalies to go back to where he became the king of goalies. Like, in my mind, he's in the top 3.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, as much as I hate to see him leave, it's awesome to see him still be engaged in the NHL, and I'm glad that he's just not gone 100%.
And I always loved him here, but like you said, it's nice to see him back at the team that he really made a name for himself at, helping their future generations of the game.
Yep.
So
that's talking hockey.
Yeah, shout out to Brodeur. That's talking hockey. Starts in 33 days from the time we're recording this. So
I think NFL is in what? 5 days?
Yeah.
5 days?
Not long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty fucking dope.
We got a lot of sports shit coming real quick.
Yeah, so as you've noticed, we're pretty long into the podcast and still talking about sports. Get used to that as sports that
as
we
the
actually
NFL
care
and the
about come
NHL
back.
goes, we're going to be talking a lot longer. These podcasts are going to go from like an hour and a half to probably, I would say, 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but don't be discouraged because we still got plenty of fucked up shit to talk about, which is what we're going to do as we jump into our wow story of the week.
Wow.
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 Wow. Wow. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Okay, so for my wow story of the week, I got 2 of them since we didn't do one last week.
What is your first one?
The first one is actually not a recent story. This is actually, I just wanted to kind of cover this a little bit
back.
to let people know. Check this out. This is pretty interesting shit. Operation Paperclip. Ever heard of it?
It keeps papers within a clip.
No, you're wrong. It was a secret program of the Joint Intelligent Objectives Agents, the JIOA, largely carried out by special agents of the Army CIC, which involved more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, technicians, such as Warren von Braun and his V-2 rocket team, were recruited at the end of World War II in a post-Nazi Germany and taken to the U.S. government for employment. Primarily between the 1945 and 1959 years. Many were former members and some were actually leaders of the Nazi Party.
So you're telling me right now we took people from the Nazi Party to do shit for us?
Yeah, we basically defeated Hitler, beat the Nazis, and we were like, we're going to take all your smart guys and bring them to our team. So really all the scientists from the Nazis were a bunch of pussy-ass traitors, which makes sense considering the type of shit that they did. But, I mean, I kind of don't like that there were a lot of Nazi people over here because they could have just been doing their own thing.
Well, I mean, they were definitely more moving towards the scientific spectrum.
But there could be a lot of them that were literally just like, we're doing this because we're just trying to stay alive. We don't agree with anything.
Right, but they didn't like do anything once they were here, like of a Nazi regime. That's what I'm saying. They came here like,
you don't know
we'll
that.
do with the science shit.
You ever seen Captain America? There could be like Red Skull and a bunch of Nazis underground just waiting to rise up.
I mean, I'm okay with that because I think we could take some 90-year-olds. Pretty sure I could beat a 90-year-old.
No, they've been like grooming a whole new generation.
Pretty sure I could beat most of the new generation to death.
But if they got a bunch of them.
Are you asking me how many like child Nazis I could take in a fight?
Maybe.
I think I could take 22 child Nazis in a fight between the ages of 1 to 14.
But what if they all had flamethrowers?
They wouldn't because
they might because they liked burning people.
But they didn't know how to use flamethrowers
They've
or
been
build
taught.
them.
They've been taught.
The most
they're engineers and scientists.
No, they're not. The engineers and scientists are working for us now, motherfucker. They might have told them about what they were doing, but they think
they're working for us, but they've secretly been grooming a bunch of pyro Nazis.
You think they've been teaching them how to burn America down?
Yeah.
Well, then why aren't we
burned down? Look at California right now.
Oh, you think that California is burning because of the Nazi regime?
The new age Nazi pyro millennials are burning California to the ground.
Nazi New Age millennial pyros is the reason for the forest fires in California.
I mean, poke a hole in my
Is that a conspiracy theory? Are we jumping into conspiracy theories real fast?
No, this is still my WoW story. So you can imagine how weird my conspiracy is going to be. It's really not that weird. It's not even a conspiracy theory. But this is what we're talking about right now. I'm saying,
so you're thinking that you're getting some pyro Nazi motherfuckers who are being raised from the
former engineers and scientists of the Nazi Party.
Okay.
That are now being paid money by the U.S. government to create shit for them.
Now, or are they dead now? Because
I don't know.
They got to be up there.
Elon Musk might be related to one of them. I mean, he likes flamethrowers.
So some of the richest people in power, you're saying, may have been influenced from Nazi regimes?
Could have. I mean, this was the U.S. government that brought him over here and started this program. Definitely look up Operation Paperclip on Wikipedia and other sources. They get a lot of information about it. I was going to really read into it, but I just kind of wanted to cover it since we got two of them, and I know you would have one too.
Yeah.
But no, it's pretty fucking interesting. Operation Paperclip. Yeah, basically we brought a bunch of smart Nazis into the country and made them start working for us.
Well, your WoW story is a lot more politically incisive than mine. Mine's about a dude grabbing...
Just wait till you hear my second one.
Mine's about a dude grabbing a girl's tit.
Oh, so sexual assault.
Sexual assault. Pastor Charles Ellis groped Ariana Grande after she performed at the funeral service of Aretha Franklin?
Aretha
Franklin, thank you.
You need to look up some of your music history.
I do. She seems like she's probably a lot older than I am.
You are a fucking moron child, late millennial.
Huh, that hurts my feelings and my soul.
It should.
But really, the only thing I got out of it...
So you should pay your respects.
Okay, well, I pay my respects.
I need you to apologize to Aretha Franklin right now.
I'm sorry, Aretha Franklin. Rest in peace.
It's not Urethra Franklin. It's Aretha Franklin.
All right, Aretha Franklin, I'll hang you on my door this Christmas.
Okay.
So, This dude groped Ariana Grande, apparently. I guess, like, after she had sang a song, he walked over to her and wrapped his arm around her and just straight up grabbed some titty.
She doesn't have that much titty to grab,
No,
really.
she does not have a lot of titty to grab, and I understand that, but he definitely, moved on in and grabbed a little
Maybe that's why she
squeak.
grabbed it. She didn't have much titty. He thought she kind of looked similar to some altar boys.
Might have been. He might have thinking that she was kind of like the older boys going up high, just grabbing some little bit of man flesh, but he was actually getting some female titty cleavage grabbing. You know what I'm saying? Some side boob.
Nice.
Now, I will say, as a guy who is a pastor, I believe that they're supposed to be pretty sexually, like, quiet.
Yeah, I don't believe he's a pasture of grass. He is a religious pastor.
Okay, so he still can fuck women.
I don't believe he should.
I don't believe.
I believe they're celibate.
You believe they're celibate? Do we know they're celibate?
Pretty damn sure, like 98%
Okay, so
sure.
he can't fuck women, but he's grabbing Ariana Grande by her tit, which, I mean, by standard of people, sure, we would all do that, but via live camera unwillingly, I don't think
like
any
if I
of
was
us
offered to grab
Yeah, like if I
Ariana
was
Grande's
offered, grab my tit. Yeah, no, yeah, I'm gonna
I'll do that for you.
But
because we aim to please.
yeah, no, I'm gonna do what you want me to do. I'm not gonna be a pussy. But if you're gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna sing a song at this funeral, and then you get done and a dude grabs your tit, I think that's a little bit out of place.
Yeah, that's a little not the time or the place.
But
or the person that should be doing it.
Yeah, I mean, and she gave him a look kind of like, yo, motherfucker, get your hand off my tits. And he kind of just rolled with it and never, like, made a mention of it. However, he did apologize a day later, saying, I guess I went over my boundaries. So, with the dude coming over saying, I went over my boundaries, do you think he premeditatedly did it on purpose? Or do you think it was an accident that he was like, oh, fuck, I guess I accidentally grabbed her titty?
What if God told him to grab her titty?
Because he's a pastor? You think God was like, put your hand around her. Gotcha.
Like, now you're going to jail for
yeah,
rape.
there you go. Now you're fucked, bud.
Yeah, maybe God just likes sick, dark jokes like that.
Yeah, and I hope he certainly does, because if he doesn't, I'm definitely going to hell.
Yeah, but if he likes the sick jokes, we should join him.
So are you saying we should go to funerals and grab people's tits?
No, I'm saying when we die, we should tell dark jokes with Jesus.
Oh, I'll tell dark jokes with Jesus.
Yeah, he's probably into that.
He's probably real into dark, like 9 Inch Nails. It's probably his favorite band.
They're not funny, though. They're just dark.
Yeah, but we
like dark humor.
Do you get what I was getting, though? 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, I get
the nails, because he was...
That's a crucifixion joke.
Yeah, it's a crucifixion joke.
I get that. I get it. Nice. Good job.
Thanks.
The next story I have... A store is caught sticking googly eyes on fish to make them look fresh. A store in Kuwait reportedly was shut down after discovering that its owners were sticking googly eyes on fish in an attempt to make them appear more fresh. There were many people that tweeted images of the fish before and after they removed the googly eyes to make them look like nice fresh fish caught right out of the rivers of Kuwait.
The rivers of Kuwait.
I assume that's where they get their fish from.
I would assume they get them from an ocean of some sort.
I think we should stick googly eyes in a lot more of our daily produce.
I'd like to stick googly eyes on my penis before I get head to make it look more fresh.
I feel like that just kind of makes it look like the girl's about to eat a fucking giant Alaskan bullworm or something.
I mean, she's going to be taking a bullworm, but it's going to be like googly eyes.
Are they candy eyes or just googly eyes?
No, I would do normal googly eyes. And
those aren't edible. That's a safety hazard.
Yeah, I know, but when they fall off, I'll just go,
safe sex.
Oh, I'm sorry, and just let them fall.
But then what if she chokes on the googly eyes and dies?
Well, then I'll just dig another grave.
All right. So that's kind of fucked up, but that's the kind of thing you can expect from us. After that, that's kind of all the wild stories of the week. I feel like the innuendos that have been made are a little more wow status than the actual stories themselves. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into the next segment, which is what we would do if we were president of the United States.
If I was president, I get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday. If I was president,
All right, so this week I'm going to go ahead and pretty much say if Austin were president, the country would be in bad shape because he lacks motivation and responsibility because he didn't do one this week.
I think that the fact that you're saying that I lack motivation and responsibility is just way above your head, and you don't realize the kind of person I am and how quick I can come up with something on my feet.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and start with my if I were president.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and follow you up with what I come up with.
And if you don't come up with anything, then me and the listeners can all just be disappointed in you, as we typically are.
All right, well, I've disappointed a lot of people in my life, and I'm really not scared to disappoint more.
All right, well, at least you're used to it. If I were president, lawyers would have a cap on the amount of money that they would be able to make per case, and that would prevent situations like, you remember that story about the rich kid who raped that chick in the alley and got off because his dad paid for, like, some badass lawyer?
I do remember him,
and then you got people like OJ getting off from basically murder, even after he writes a book about, murdering the chick.
Murdered her, yeah.
So basically, lawyers would have, like, a cap for the amount of money they can make, and that would basically cause good lawyers to probably help the rightful deserving party, since they're going to make the same money either way, whether they're defending a piece of shit or helping the person that actually deserves to win the case, because it's not like they gain anything by helping the shitty person, even if they're rich.
So you're putting a maximum on what somebody can pay a lawyer?
Yes.
Okay, so somebody can still pay the maximum against somebody who can't paid the maximum.
No, basically it would all be determinate. So if you have two rich people, if you got if you got two rich people suing each other, the lawyers can make a lot of money off the two rich people. But if you have like this big conglomerate suing a poor guy that they fucked over, the conglomerate's only allowed to pay their lawyer as much as the not as rich guy can pay his lawyer.
Okay.
Or if he's he's appointed a lawyer because he can't afford one, they just appoint some random guy to the big company too.
No, see, that seems unfair.
Why is it unfair?
Because you're appointing a random to a company for their, like companies pay big money to have good lawyers.
Yeah.
If you're appointing a random to them, I think that's still unfair.
How's that unfair? Everybody's on an equal paying field.
I understand.
You could have a company say, this guy's going to get appointed some shitty lawyer. We're just going to pay for the best lawyer.
If a company is going against somebody who is poor, and they can only happen to get the lawyer that's appointed to them.
Yeah.
You're saying a large company...
Now, they can get the same lawyer. He can still be a badass lawyer. They just can't pay him more than the poor person can pay his lawyer.
So...
You can still have any lawyer you want.
Big-time lawyers can work for low-grade cases for less pay.
It's basically a big company can still have the best lawyer. They can get whatever lawyer they want, but they can't
pay more than the lower party.
Yes, that way that lawyer might not be swayed by the money and say, well, the person who should win this case is this guy, so I'm not going to fucking get you out. I feel like a lot of times when you have lawyers, if some guy came up and was like, hey, you get me out of the spot, I'll give you $10 million.
Right.
Oh, all right, I'll get you out of that. But if it came down to, hey, that guy murdered my daughter. Hey, no, I didn't, but I actually did. But I got lots of money I can pay you to tell them I didn't. But if they both had to pay the same amount of money, the lawyer might be like, yeah, you're a piece of shit. I'm just going to help them out and send you to fucking jail.
You think that's what he'd... Because he wouldn't get paid as much as they lost.
He doesn't have the money incentive.
Yeah, I know. But normally if you lose, you don't pay as much as your winning court fee because you go to jail.
I know. I'm saying that lawyer might go over to the defendant. Instead of the defendant side, he might go over to the prosecuting side because he's going to get the same money either way. So he's going to be more likely to work for the party that deserves to win the case.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Do you get where I'm going with this?
I can feel where you're going. You're trying to make an even playing field between
big company, screwed over poor guy.
Yeah.
As it is now, big company pays this lawyer millions of dollars to get out of it. Poor guy just gets whatever random lawyer's thrown to him. In the other situation, you got big company fucked over poor guy, and you got good lawyer and random lawyer. But if they both get paid the same, maybe good lawyer says, well, I'll just go work for the guy that you fucked over because I'm going to get paid the same either way. I'd rather help the person that deserves to win the case.
That's understandable.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if
no,
it were
I
me,
get
if
that.
somebody's throwing millions of dollars at me to get him out of something, I'm probably going to get him out of something because I like millions of dollars.
Right, I like
But
millions
if
of
it were
dollars, too.
something where it was an even playing field, where it was like, well, I'm not going to benefit more either way, I'm going to send the piece of shit person to jail and not the person
Right.
that deserves
Because you're still going to get paid.
either way.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Kind of makes it an even play
I
field.
can see where it gets
Strips a little bit of the legal money advantage.
I can see where like the swang still is encouraged, because if you're like a top-notch lawyer getting paid as much as a low-budget lawyer, why be a top-notch lawyer? You know, like why not just stay low-budget and
Because at that point, you could still work higher cases. There's still plenty of cases where $1 million companies and $1 million companies are in lawsuits together, and you can work some of those.
okay.
But
would the cap be the same all around, or would you put like multiple decrees?
No, it would basically be the least amount of money that can be paid is the benchmark.
Okay.
So if it's two parties that are getting tons of money, you could be really good. It would basically be the best lawyers are working the most expensive cases.
Say I got in a lawsuit with Walmart. Say I could find a lawyer that I could pay around, let's say, $6,000.
Yeah.
Walmart would have to find a lawyer to pay $6,000.
Now they can still get a good lawyer if they want, but he's only going to be able to make $6,000. So then that lawyer might turn around and say, yeah, this isn't worth my time. Find another lawyer. And then that would strip away the really good lawyers from these big companies.
So it's almost more like a, what's it called whenever they, like at my apartment complex, where I live, I cannot offer them work because they say it's not fair trade.
Yeah. Or even basically like cap space for teams. One team can't have unlimited money to pay for a lawyer while you have this much money to pay for a lawyer.
I'm trying to think what the fuck the word is called that I'm talking about. Because, like, when you go somewhere, like, I offered at my apartment complex to do all the flooring work there to get a discount on my rent. And they said, no, it's unequal, like, employment.
Yeah.
Like, since you have knowledge of it, we cannot let you...
It's like insider trading a little bit, but it's like, yeah, you're using interior motives to get the work as opposed to just contractors trying to get work.
Yeah, I suppose. I'm trying. I can't think of the actual specific word. They said something. I was like, I don't even know what the fuck that is. I'm just 20 years old.
Yeah, so fuck you. I'm just going to go grill in my apartment I'm not supposed to grill at with my dog I'm not supposed to have.
Yeah, with the people here that I didn't tell you lived with me.
Yeah. So.
I'm breaking a lot of rules.
Yeah, so let me hear the president thing you came up with.
The president thing I came up with will come to you right after an ad read that I'm going to go ahead and split right to give me a little bit more time for the vape shop.
Ooh, the vape shop. You mean the one in Lake St. Louis? Right off of Lake St. Louis Boulevard after you make a left off of Highway 70?
Right next to El Magwe. No ads for El Magwe, but that's right where it's by. Yes, I do exactly mean those guys. Those guys are top notch.
Nice. I know we talked about in a previous podcast that they just had their grand opening, but it was actually delayed because they didn't get their cash register. And they need a cash register to take you wonderful customers' money and then sell you some amazing products like the best mods and tanks and coils and vape flavors that you could possibly ever want.
And I recommend you going to them. You let them know that we sent you. Go ahead and use the name Inside the Pocket, Austin and Gavin. Let them know we sent you because they know us by name there because, you know, we're kind of a big deal at the vape store.
You're going to get yourself a nice little discount.
A little discount. You'll get yourself a little bit of a thing.
Might make some friends.
Yeah, you might. They're real good guys there. They all understand what you want. You come there frequently, they'll find out what you want.
Don't actually come in there. Don't masturbate in the bathroom.
Yeah,
just
don't
walk in
go
the door.
in there and just ejaculate on the floor. They don't need that. That's not what that is.
That's
you can do that in your own
business.
bathroom. But if you're trying to come in there and get some nice flavors, nice coils, nice tanks, nice anything you want for your vaporizing accessories, you can make sure and rely on the vape store.
Yes, like I said, their current location in Lake St. Louis is still open, and I believe they said this following Saturday they should be able to do their grand opening, But we will keep in touch with our social medias. We'll be sure and post about it when it does open, because we'll be there for the grand opening. You can come kick it with us, get you some awesome equipment, some delicious flavors, and hang out with us. Because
you'll get to meet the two guys from Inside the Pocket. We will be there for the grand opening. I'm getting a
two
date
guys
set
you
up.
most likely know and don't give a fuck about driving out of your way to come see us. But if you're a listener that doesn't know us personally, come meet us. We'd love to hang out with you and give you a high five.
Yeah, we'll
take
things
pictures
that really won't benefit you financially whatsoever, but we'll be there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so what's your thing now that you're done? I'm not pausing it. I want to hear you say something now.
You want to hear me say something right now about what I would do if I was president?
Austin's doing the little kill it signal, but I'm just not going to do it. This podcast will not stop until he gives a "if I were president." So let's hear what you got, Austin.
If I were president. If Austin Robinson were president, he would get rid of monopolizing any company whatsoever. Because some of them, they claim that they're not monopolized anymore, but think of like companies like Charter and DirecTV, or think about like your billing plans like Sprint and AT&T. They're pretty much the high factors of anything.
AT&T bought DirecTV. Now they own both.
Now they own
both. You got
both.
Amazon buying virtually any other company that sells anything.
Yeah, like who is the competitor against Amazon right now?
Well, there's competitors, but none of them come even close.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the most wealthy company in the world.
Yeah, they're fucking shitting on everything. That's soon to become a monopolized group. Like back in the day, whenever a monopolized group came around, they tried to break it up with multiple like television sets. That's why back in the day, you guys only had so many selections for channels, because they split it up through the monopolization.
I feel like you have no clue what the fuck you're talking about.
I'm literally winging it because you told me to. So that's what's happening right now. But I kind of
basically government comes into play when it comes to merging certain companies. If it comes down to like a basic need of the people, they typically don't allow monopolies. But I remember the big Sirius XM merger was a big fucking deal, even though satellite radio has little effect on anybody's fucking life. But they finally allowed that. But like basically, if there was only one cell phone provider and they could just fuck everybody,
I think that's happening now. I think between Sprint, AT&T, and Verizon, like something that happened like in the more recent years. Like I remember when unlimited plans were seen a lot. Now, like right now, you probably have an unlimited plan. Do you not?
Yep.
You do?
I do.
Bet you if you were to get rid of your phone and reopen, you would not get an unlimited plan.
Actually, there was a time where that happened. I was grandfathered in, but they told me if I changed it. But since then, AT&T has come out with a new unlimited plan. It just costs more money than it did before.
Yeah, see, I think that's bullshit. Why are they upping something that people before are grandfathered into?
You also got to think there's a lot more people. Like people, there's just more people.
Yeah, so you'd be making more money going off the original plan that you had because you have more people on it. Why are you upping the price?
But you also got to think there's less millennials and less Gen Y. What are you? What the fuck are you?
I'm a millennial.
Yeah. What's after us?
Why?
Yeah. There's basically like the millennials and Gen Ys combined are almost the size, a little bigger, I think, than
the baby boomers.
So they're losing people. So they're just trying to find ways to make up for it. And we use way more data than the baby boomers do. Like, how much data do you think Dad really uses on his phone?
Probably none.
Probably little to none. I use between listening to podcasts and blogging from my phone and playing games on my phone and streaming music on my phone and watching Twitch TV on my phone, I probably use 20 gigs a month.
You know what I would do? If I was president, I would make gigs and data in a free unlimited service. But you have to choose what service you want to go through to get better quality of the service.
But you're fucking those companies out of tons of money.
I don't give a fuck about those companies.
So you want to get rid of capitalism?
I want to get rid of capitalism. I want to get rid of the...
You're a Nazi then.
Kind of. But just for phones.
You're a phone Nazi.
Yeah, I'm a phone Nazi. I understand that people are charging for different rates for everything, and that's fine. But charge for the quality you're going to give, not the rate you're going to give it. Like, if AT&T and Sprint are both offering unlimited plans, they're probably both going to have different frequencies in different areas where each one is more optimal at. Would you not agree?
Depends.
Like if you're somewhere in a field randomly.
It could be hit or miss on which companies have. It could be hit or miss on which one.
If one is more like, hey, we're going to the outer regions and we're making sure those people still have service,
they can charge more. But for the people who are...
I feel like it's already like that.
But apparently it's not.
What do you mean?
Because then why are that's not why they're charging more. They're charging more because they're coming up with new fees.
No,
They're charging you more
places.
to do something you're already doing.
Like Dad has a booster at his house because he doesn't get great cell service out there.
Right.
So they're like, okay, we can give a booster that will give you good cell service. It just costs us much more a month. That's basically what you're talking about.
No, I'm saying for the people not getting boosters, you're not buying additional things. If you're going by the standard, if you are saying, hey, we're going to make sure you have support anywhere the fuck you go, they should charge more than people going, well, if you're in a major area, we're supporting it. So, like, if a place like AT&T is going somewhere out in the woods,
if you have
and
more
putting
coverage, you can charge more.
Yes, more coverage, more charge. Not by the amount of data usage that you use, because nowadays people are using data so frequently and so oftenly.
Yeah, but so those companies that are like, oh, we'll charge more based on your areas. What if you're a person that lives on that area that you just need to have that service in case of emergency, but you don't use tons of data?
Then that's where those people specifically are benefiting from it. The company is going off the people that can't do that. That's why you would charge more or less. So, like,
but the guy that lives in the middle of the nowhere that doesn't use tons of data
would
is
have
getting
to pay
fucked.
more. He would have to pay more to get more of a coverage. I get that. I get you're fucking the people who are living out in the middle of nowhere. I get that. But you're going to have a lot more people living in the normal area who are getting that coverage for a little bit more expensive. I'm saying, like, the wider, like, the more compact and populated areas are going to have a smaller price.
I feel like as a president, you have no control over any of this.
Probably not, but I mean, that's why we're on a podcast and not actual presidents. If you're in a more populated area, you're probably going to pay less than those in a not populated area. But those of you in a not populated area, that's where a market would make its money, because they would get to choose which one they have to choose to get the coverage that they want specifically.
So basically, you're just saying cell phone companies need to fuck people that live in the country.
Not fuck. They need to find out which areas of the country they need to build their towers and which ones to aid to give the coverage that they want.
How does that benefit the country?
I'm just saying for the people.
That's just something you do.
The way, yeah, that's just something I'm doing. I'm not saying I'm benefiting or negatively affecting the country. I'm just saying that's what I would do. I would try and make it a more fair playing ground for phone billing. I think the fact, like what you said earlier, the younger people are using a lot more data. It's a lot more normal, but we're still getting charged for it throughout the ass. And you probably have a really high phone bill, do you not?
Yeah.
I have a really high phone bill. Dad doesn't have a really high phone bill. What?
That's because he doesn't use the data
that
he doesn't use the data we use, so he doesn't need it.
I think that should evolve. Everything else evolves. You get used to what people are using, and you adapt yourself to it. You don't.
So people like Dad
more.
have to pay more money to support people like you and I.
No, because Dad would not pay the money because he doesn't need it.
Yeah, he already does that. That's why his
I know. I get
cheaper.
that. That's why those people wouldn't. Me and you, if we moved somewhere else, we'd have to pay more to use it.
I have to pay more now. I don't have to move to pay more.
I'm saying make those a standard fee. You should pay what Dad pays, but if you use over the cap, like way more than Dad, like, I'm trying to think how to word it. Like, Dad, I would say, Dad's on an unlimited plan.
Yeah.
You're on an unlimited plan.
Yeah.
You should not pay for your data. You should pay for your location. Depending on the service that you get in your location.
Okay, but we both get good service.
Then you guys would pay the same. But if you're somewhere where you get really bad service, that dude
has to pay more to get good service.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter how much data he uses.
It doesn't matter how much data he uses. It just matters because of the location he decided to be at and what carrier he's using.
So basically what you're saying is if you were president, you'd strip cellular data companies out of massive amounts of money.
Yeah, because I think they're kind of running a monopoly. I think all of those companies definitely make way more money than they should.
All right. Well, fuck cellular data companies.
Yeah, fuck all of you. I use the phone every single day, and I know how much it's raping me in the ass.
All right. Well, now that you've came up with some random bullshit for your presidential campaign, we're going to go ahead and jump into some
I think for just a
conspiracy
random
theories.
bullshit come up out of my ass while the sun is staring me through the window, I think I kind of nailed that.
I think you just wasted a bunch of time, but whatever.
All right, well,
Let's waste some more time with some conspiracy theories.
Sounds good.
All right, Austin, I'm ready for a little nap, so why don't you go ahead and take off with your conspiracy theory.
So,
But before you start this conspiracy theory, I just wanted to give a little shout out to our other sponsor, Barrel's Tap House in
Did you?
O'Fallon, Missouri, where we did our wonderful draft today for the fantasy football season.
yes, we did.
I got 109 beers on tap, some amazing food, and amazing people. Try out one of their new pickle shots today and pick up one of our t-shirts. It would help us, it would help them, and help everybody.
Where are they
because
located, Gavin?
They're located at the corner of Highway N and Highway K in O'Fallon, Missouri, right behind AutoZone. Be sure and check them out and tell them Inside the Pocket sent you, and they'll give you lots of love. Austin, go ahead with your conspiracy theory.
So, Charles Manson.
Yeah. You ever heard of him?
We all know what that guy did with things and stuff, right?
Word.
So, in one of his interviews, before he was dead, he said his children were coming and that the world would know.
Because they would be coming on the world.
No.
Oh, okay.
Because who he was aiming at is he said the youths will be coming. The youths will be doing his work. What have youths been doing a lot recently?
They've been doing some work?
They've been doing some school shootings.
That's fucked up.
I believe that Charles Manson predicted the mass shootings and the race problems we're having today. Because Charles Manson also said that Helter Skelter was the meaning of an inevitable race war that was going to happen in the near future that he would not be able to partake in. That's why he left it as his message. He said that word for word, saying that Helter Skelter is supposed to mean that there's going to be multiple races conflicted with each other that he will not be a part in. He also said that his children are coming and they're going to do his bidding, but he won't be there to deal with it. Charles Manson died, school shootings peaked, and the race wars that we're having with police officers and African Americans and with the building wall and immigrants here in America is spiking very highly at this time right now.
So you're basically saying he kind of predicted this kind of turmoil that America has found itself in currently.
Yes.
Interesting.
And he did all this from just a random interview one time. It wasn't even like an interview about that. They were asking him about like, yo, you're up for parole in a couple years. What do you want to do? And he's like, my children are coming and there's a race war coming and I won't be here to deal with it.
Huh.
And they're like, you're fucking crazy.
You are a fucking crazy person.
And now those are the two things that we deal with a lot in the American culture.
Well, my conspiracy theory isn't really a conspiracy theory, but I just kind of threw it in this section. But, you know, you ever heard of the theory of evolution?
I have heard of it.
Yeah, they teach it in schools a lot. I kind of feel like humans have an evolutionary flaw.
What do you think that flaw could be? Our dicks?
No.
Oh, I thought it was our dicks.
I feel like those are going pretty good.
Mine's not.
But, sorry, my condolences. Human teeth. You know, when you're like 10 years old, you lose your teeth and get your adult teeth.
Yeah, roughly.
And then those things are supposed to last another like 70 to 80 fucking years.
Yeah, that does seem like a long time for a set of chompers.
Yeah, and so I don't understand why we lose them so early, and then the other set's supposed to last us so long. I feel like our first set of teeth should either last like into our 20s and 30s, and then we get a new set, or you lose your baby teeth, get a new set, and then when you're like 30 or 40, you get your second set. That's what I feel like.
I agree with you. I believe that we should have at least two sets. I think having, well,
Well, we
already
do have 2.
I think we should have at least 3 sets.
Yeah.
I think the set we have that we get when we're born should last us till we're 10 or something like that. You know, your intermental.
Your child teeth.
Yeah, your child teeth. You should have another one that is your mid-years teeth and another one that's your final year's teeth.
For sure.
Because I would say that the lifespan right now is like, what, 75?
Yeah, 75, 80.
Give each set 20 years.
Yeah. And
or maybe your middle one's even 30. Your last one's 20, your first one's 10. So 10, 30, 20 is when...
Or they just go up 10 years every time. 10, 20, 30.
Ooh, yeah, you could do that too.
Yeah. And so scientists need to look into finding a way that they can alter the way our teeth work or find a way to grow. I actually was reading stories when I came up with this idea of like they've been able to introduce stem cells to people to basically grow another tooth after they've lost one.
Really?
And so we need to find a way for us to get a second set of adult teeth.
Well, I know there's creatures out there like sharks. If they lose a teeth,
sharks or gators and stuff like that.
One.
So we basically need to just take that and somehow find a way to make humans do that so we don't just run out of teeth.
I agree, because I have a couple fake teeth already.
Yeah. So that kind of wraps up our conspiracy theory section this week. We're going to go ahead and jump into a Tinder talk that Austin was able to pick up for us. We hope you guys like it.
Yikes.
So for my Tinder talk here, I'm going to give a little backstory. This is a friend of mine that I've known for a couple years, and she went on to a mission trip over to Africa where she helped. Yeah, wow. She went over to Africa and helped some kids who were in need and some people, that were in a third world country.
Is this Akon?
It's not Akon. I am not friends with Akon.
Right.
However, while she was there, she met a man who was like a head of the people.
Was that Akon?
No, it was not Akon.
All right.
She met a man who was a head of some of the tribes, I guess. Like, he dealt with multiple different groups of people who were there, whatever you want to call it, refugees or however you word it.
I think just Africans.
The Africans. He dealt with Africans. So, and he was also an African himself. However, fun fact, in third world countries, they still got Facebook.
Wow.
So she
third
added...
world Facebook.
Yes. She added this guy on Facebook after she had came back to the United States.
Face parchment.
So, I'm going to go ahead and read to you what this man sent a friend of mine who happened to be a female.
Okay.
Who was just there on a mission trip helping some kiddos.
Let's hear the story.
So, here we go. The man starts with, "Hello, dear. Good morning. And how was your night? I greet you humbly, actually. I am very sorry for barging into your privacy unannounced. And thanks for accepting my request. I do appreciate it. Such absolute pleasure and it's nice to meet you in person. I compliment."
Is this guy William Shakespeare?
You have no idea. Okay. She doesn't say anything. He then comes back and says, You must have the second woman God created after Eve. Apparently God must have lavished abundant time to make such an enchantment. You look so enchanting, highly like goddess. I really want to know more, if you do not mind. Where are you from? She does not reply.
She's kind of rude.
The next day, the man replies, Hello, good morning, and how is your night, my dear? I really want us to talk if you don't mind. She does not reply. Obviously, at this point, as a normal dude, after putting my heart out...
Yeah, that's kind of the 3 strikes, and I'd be just giving up on that.
And I'd be done. But he says, on the following day, Hello, nice meeting you today. I hope you're good, my dear. Nothing after that. Then he writes, Dear, my life is beautiful because of my love, my lady love. You entered into my life as a candlelight in the dark. You showed me the meaning of love, not with your words, but with your care. I know your shy nature doesn't let you open up to me, but your eyes speak up, the love you have for me. A bunch of periods. Good morning, and how is your night? She does not reply again.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little creepy.
She is not into this man whatsoever. Then he does again the following day. Hello, are you there? No reply. There's 4 days now where she has not replied after this man's very cunning and witting replies. She is not interested, my friend. It is time for you to go down. But oh no, he does not give up. He go ahead and replies, hello, are you there? It would be nice to meet you today. No reply.
Why didn't your friend reply to any of these?
Because she was weirded the fuck out after the first couple. So she kept him as a friend because she didn't want to be a dick.
Yeah.
But she didn't want to reply because she was
scared for her life.
She was very uncomfortable with the situation. So she kept just receiving from him, which I'm glad she did because this is some banger shit.
Nice.
So he then goes, whilst I kissed you from a top of toes, your soft body felt like a winter rose. Oh, so soft as one can be softness that was never earlier felt by me. I drank the wine every time I kissed your lips. I tried to speak, but only lisps. I whispered from heart to keep loving you till the sun-showered snow and eternity will be new.
Did she do anything with this guy?
No. No, she did nothing with this man.
As far as you know.
As far as I know. As much as that what I've gotten, she has done nothing with this man.
Huh.
And then he proceeded to go, hello, my dear, how are you doing? You have not talked to me. I hope all is well. And that is the end of that conversation. However, I would like to say out of every single Tinder story or topic I've ever seen, I've never met a man more wordy and like literal,
literal.
I'm trying with
articulate.
Articulate with such literacy to be able to write something like that to someone. As much as like today we would be like, that's fucking weird. That dude put a lot of wordplay and thought into his like upcoming to try and sway this person. I think he actually did a good job. Like I can't really go, this dude's fucking weird and he's just trying to fuck her, because the dude put in like passion. Like he literally like put in like the time to think of a poem or two, if you want to take the first one as a poem, to come in to try and engage with her.
This could have been her soulmate and she was just turning him down like hard.
Well, she's also living in America and he's living in Africa.
Bring him on over.
I don't think that's how that works. I think she would have to go there. I don't think like the people.
She's been there before,
I guess, but that was like on a college trip.
I mean, was he sending her those while she was still there or after she left and went
after
home?
she had left?
Yeah, that's a little wild. I don't know if I'd be traveling all
The
the way to Africa.
engagement she told me is that she met him in person twice.
Okay.
And they were not long lived. She said he was
just
one of the first.
Little, like, hi,
they're
how
like,
you doing?
hi, hello, here's what we're doing, here's what you're doing. And then one day she saw him again and he's like, yeah, this is what you got to do today. And that was it. And then she came back home and she started receiving those messages from him.
She better hope he never finds his way over here, because after all those messages of heartfelt passion that he sent her, might not. After all the ignoring, he might be one of those things. It's like, if I can have you, nobody can.
He might just fucking kill her. Yeah, he might fly over to the United States to kill you. I might have to get back to you later.
Yeah, you might need to watch your back.
Yeah. You might need to reply to him and see if he plans on coming over to the States anytime.
That is wild. Well, that was a pretty good Tinder talk. That was a little deeper than some of the ones we've done.
Oh, absolutely. Before. That one was definitely a much more emotionally impacted one.
Yeah, and so I might be sharing the podcast with this page on Facebook with a bunch of people who seem kind of fucked up, so that they can maybe send us some of their Tinder talks. But as always, if you have any weird messages or know anybody that might, be sure and send them to us at insidethepocketpodcast@gmail.com, or hit us up on any of our socials and we can get in touch with you and get a screenshot from you. That way it can be on one of the podcasts. We're going to jump right into our debatable section now, where we talk about some dumb shit.
Shit that's dumb.
All right, Austin. My first one for you would be, would you rather spend 1 month in jail or 1 month naked and afraid in the wilderness, like the
naked and afraid.
The weirderness.
The weirderness, not the wilderness.
Yeah, the weirderness.
Okay.
Like Naked and Afraid, the TV show.
I'm gonna go with the wilderness. I think I could survive in the wilderness because I feel like I'm way too pretty to be in prison. I think I would get ass raped, and I'm really not kind of the guy that's gonna fight that off. So for anyone who's trying to find someone easily to ass rape, I'm probably your prime target.
Yeah,
But,
that's good to know.
You throw me out in the woods, I'm pretty sure
I think I could survive a long time in the wilderness, but as far as ease, I think I'd probably just do 1 month in jail because I feel like I'd find some sort of job. We have a friend that we work with that spent some time in prison, and he said the number one way to kind of protect yourself is to make yourself valuable in some way or another. He was the bookie for his cell
But
block,
that could also
or
be
whatever.
really dangerous in a prison.
Yeah,
What if you can't
probably.
pay up?
I'd find a better job to do, like
What would
help
you do?
people
What would you
set
do if you had a job in prison? What would your
If I
job
were
be?
in prison, my job would be something simple, like
Oh, there's a lot of simple things to do in
I'll
prison.
do all your guys' laundry, or I'd talk to the prison, be like, I know how to lay some floors. You guys got anywhere in the prison that needs some work done? I'll totally do it, and then the prison would protect me.
I think that would make everyone hate you.
Yeah, but they would protect me.
Yeah.
Or if I wanted to get in with some of the inmates, I would just be like, yo, when you get out of here, let's start a podcast. And then they'd be like,
I don't think that's how that would work at all.
You never know.
All right.
Have you ever talked to anybody in prison?
I've talked to people who went to prison.
Have you talked to people in prison?
Currently, no.
Yeah, so you don't know. They might be totally down with
I
starting a podcast.
I might go to.
We might bring that guy that works with us.
Yeah,
That's
we
been in
might
prison
sometime.
in
We might see how that goes.
and get a little bit of the inside world of prison gambling.
I think that's gonna be a really awkward time when we're asking really strict questions that he doesn't really want to answer, because I think
we don't
ask
get
those.
personal, but we're gonna get deep into it.
Okay.
Deep in that ass.
Yeah.
Next one.
Pretty personal.
Next one I got would be, what would be more embarrassing, choking to death on a piece of food, or just walking down the street and tripping and like hitting your face on the ground and dying?
Well, for one, I don't think it would really matter because you're dead. But for like the longevity of your life, I would have to say choking to death would be the worst, because like I think people remember that more than people who fall.
Be like this dude could not even handle eating something.
Yeah, to know, like I can't think of their name, but Dad told me a story one time about a woman who was in a car accident.
That was his cousin.
Okay, so related to us. Was in a car accident. They said she was going to die. She ended up surviving.
Made it out.
They did surgeries on her, multiple, and she was going to survive, make a full recovery.
She was like a week away from leaving the hospital.
They were going to let her leave the hospital. Then she ordered a chicken salad.
Yeah.
She choked on a piece of chicken and died.
Rip.
In her...
Death was just like, this isn't happening.
They're like, there's no fucking way that's happening. Like, everyone was so fucking shocked. Nobody was really embarrassed, but like, I could see where you're like, are you
that's
fucking kidding me?
That's a little different than being like at the bar on Sunday with your boys watching football. You choke on a chicken wing and die.
Well, your boys would save you. I'm thinking like the only way you're dying on choking on something is when you're alone. So there's really nothing to be embarrassed about.
I actually had one time I was at a date at a pizza place and she was in the restroom and I took a bite of my pizza and the pepperoni went down like sideways. I was choking on the pepperoni and had to run into the bathroom and give myself the Heimlich maneuver in a stall because a piece of pepperoni ain't fucking taking me out. And I literally...
Wait, this really happened?
Yeah, this is legit. I was in the bathroom. I was literally just like giving myself kind of like the maneuver you would do if you were giving somebody the Heimlich. And finally that thing came flying out into the toilet. Flushed that bitch down, went back and ate the rest of that piece of pizza.
Yeah,
that shit,
you
I ain't
fucking
taking that
show
shit.
that shit. What's up? That's kind of funny because like...
But can you imagine like on the news, like a man died in Pizza Street bathroom choking on pepperoni? It'd be kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, that'd be pretty embarrassing. But I think it would be really
overshadowed.
Like, but if somebody fell and died, that would overshadow you, I think. Yeah. I think that would be a bigger story.
Also, though, you see stories of people like falling out of buildings or multiple stories and surviving. They were like, this dude tripped on the sidewalk and fucking died. What a bitch. I'm glad he's dead. Like,
I don't think that's how that goes at all.
That's what I'd be afraid people would say.
I will say I do have a fear of choking while living alone because I live alone right now. I do have like when I'm eating dinner, like when I make a nice dinner, I'm eating and my dog's like walking around the house. I'm like, if I choke, that dog's just gonna watch me die. Like,
then,
there's nothing
and then
it can
eat
do.
your food, and then later eat
There's
you.
nothing it can do to stop it. And I'm literally gonna get in trouble from work because they're gonna be like, "Why didn't you call in?"
Because I died.
And I'm never gonna have a response. And they're gonna call you and Dad and be like, "Where the fuck is Austin?" And one of you guys are gonna find me dead in my living room from choking
Your
on a
dog's
piece
just
of
going to
chicken.
be eating one end of you and having sex with the other end.
You're right. That's what I'm scared of.
Yeah.
That would be. I think it would be. It's more embarrassing to die from falling because the initial impact, but I think it's more long-strung embarrassing to die from choking because of when you get found.
Nice. The only other one I have is a little bit more serious. So if you enjoy the podcast, you realize we have some dark humor. If you know us in person, we may even say some things that we wouldn't even put on the internet for other people to hear us say.
A lot of things we wouldn't put on here.
And we're even a part of a couple specific Facebook groups that are closed to the public where they kind of post like really dark humor or gore humor or race humor and stuff like that. Stuff that most people would find highly offensive, but in the right group of people, it's all jokes. Like nobody is obviously being serious about it. And so I wonder, do you think that kind of humor in relativity to how like, depression is rampant among millennials and we always hear these race tensions and stuff like that. Do you think really dark, fucked up humor will become more popular as our generation gets older? Or do you think they're getting more and more sensitive where dark humor will become even more kind of hidden from the public?
I think it'll be like what people see as offensive humor now. Like, there's not a lot of really good offensive comics, but the ones who do it well blow up. Like,
because there are a fine line. There's a difference between literally just saying something racist and taking a play on something that's racist and turning it into a joke that both sides of that fence can like laugh at.
Right. Like, someone I would put as a description is Anthony Jeselnik. He's a dude who's extremely offensive. He's a wonderful comedian because he's telling fucking jokes.
Yeah, or even
Tom Segura.
Tom Segura is a big one. We saw him live, and he went on a big Asian tirade and was literally calling people out in the crowd and breaking it down, and even told a joke about basically African Americans, if they don't like their past, they should band together and rise up and become the dominant race. And it was a fairly mixed group of white and African American and different Asian cultures and stuff like that. And there were a couple times where it was like, I don't know if I'm allowed to laugh at this.
He would say it and you would laugh, but then you'd be like, "Oh fuck, that was actually extremely racist."
Yeah, and he even said a couple times, he's like, "I plan on getting stabbed one day when I leave stage."
Yeah, like but when you can play off that, when you know that's what you're going for and that's what you're doing, I think that's going to make you successful.
And that's what I think a lot of people need to realize too. When there are these jokes, a lot of people. Bo Burnham had a thing when he was just making YouTube videos where he said at the end of it, the day we can literally look at the concept of racism and laugh at it and use the idea of racism as a joke, that's when it's going to start to go away. But the problem is you make jokes about it and some people still focus on how real it is and make it real. That's where the problem lies, is there's literally real racism, and that's a problem. But
if you're white and you hear that and you laugh, you're probably not racist. But if you hear that joke and go, "Fuck yeah,"
that's what I would like to do.
You're probably racist. But if you're black and you hear the joke and you go, "Oh, that's funny," you're on the opposing end of a bad joke and you're taking it as a joke.
There's a slight difference between laughing at a race joke and committing a fucking hate crime.
Right, and there's a difference of laughing at it and taking it to offense.
Yes, and I feel like the more, almost like when you're younger and somebody picks on you and you get upset and they're like, just brush it off and don't let it affect you. If it doesn't affect you, then they won't have fun making fun of you anymore and they'll just go make fun of somebody else.
Which I've always kind of found that, like, that's kind of a backsided term. Like, I can see where, somebody makes fun of you, don't come back, don't let it affect you. I've always been one that if someone made fun of me, I'm going to now articulate to make fun of them.
Yeah, and it's one thing to counter it, but it's another, don't sit there and just cry and fucking whine about it. Like, either step up and come back with some fucking hot clapbacks, or just be like, that was dumb, and walk away. Because then either way, if you clap back and beat them, they look dumb, and if they fucking insult you and you're like, okay. And you walk off, then they're like, oh, that didn't get the reaction I want. But if you sit there, whine and cry and get offended, that's what people want out of those kind of reactions. But when it comes to the comedy side of things, when you do that, and multiple races can look at it and laugh at it, I don't know why we have to take some of the vast stereotypes and differences between races and look at them as racist stereotyping, and instead like own up to it and be like, yeah, you're right.
We do that.
White people don't know how to cook, and black people do like watermelon, and Asians are good at math. And like, why can't people just look at the things that they do and accept and laugh at them, instead of being like, yo, I totally do that, but don't you say I do that, because then that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, why can't
in all realness, who doesn't like watermelon?
Yeah, I fucking love watermelon. We choose
to pick on the blacks in that instance just because it makes for a rouse and a comedy aspect. That's why it became a stereotype.
Yeah.
Because of the reaction it received.
And I've always said the reason they're stereotypes is because they're typically right. And, you know, when it comes down to, you see right now, you have the Black Lives Matter movement and how they say, you know, they incur a lot more police brutality. And I'm not going to get into whether that does or doesn't occur. But, you know, I've talked to people who are black and, you know, even other races. And it's like, you know, even me, myself, I'm heavily tattooed. I'm bearded. I have gauges. I've had police pull me over and pull me out of the car and even put me in their car and interrogate me and question me on stuff like that. I've always just been as polite as I can, answer their questions to the best of my ability. I even give them some fucking like arrogant, talkbacks, where it's like, you know, I had one pull me over one night on the way to a midnight release of a movie, and they made me get in their car, and Dad, who used to be a policeman, actually told me that's a way for them to like smell drugs or alcohol on you, is by putting you into the car with them. And he'd be like, literally, he got me in there, started running my license. He's like, so you like to smoke weed? And I'm like, no, I've been drug tested since I was 14 years old. I played varsity sports. You had to get drug tested in order to drive to school, and now I'm a union floor layer. And he's like, oh, you just look like a kid that would smoke a lot of weed. I was like, yeah, well, I guess I don't.
You're fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
No, you're right.
You also get it. Yeah, you probably do.
I probably do look like a guy that looks like that. But in this instance, I'm not one of those. He's like, you got friends that smoke weed? I'm like, yeah, probably. But I'm not one of them. You can test me right now. We can do whatever you need to do. I'm not going to get, you know, he could have been like, you smoke weed? I could have been like, why are you saying that? Because I'm like fucking tatted up and we live in Lincoln County where we got lots of drugs. What the fuck, bro? No, I was just like, oh, no, officer, I don't. And it became a polite interaction.
Right.
And I feel like just dark humor, you know, not even talking about race humor, but you get into the,
like, my big one's depression.
You post a lot of memes on depression, stuff like that, and we look at, you know, people like Robin Williams, that was a big comedian who died of depression, and even other celebrities and stuff. People always wonder, like, how can somebody with that much money kill themselves or be depressed? But one big thing, not only, and I've learned this a lot looking at like a lot of the CEOs and business people that I follow on social media, like Gary Vaynerchuk, Andy Frisella, stuff like that. They talk about, you know, the reason that a lot of those guys are successful and make money, a lot of money, like maybe, you know, you and I might someday, but it's, they didn't focus on making all that money. They focused on something they truly loved. So in those years when they were sleeping on a mattress in the back of a store because they couldn't afford rent, they loved what they were doing, and eventually it transpired into money and stuff like that. You know, there are a lot of people that are stricken by depression on the bad situations that they're in, but a lot of them are very relatable to each other. And so there was a meme I saw not long ago where it said, like, you know, millennials might be the first generation of people that can choose whether or not they want to die because of modern science and medicines. And then it was like, millennials are the first generation to bond over their wantingness to die, and now you've created a way for them not to have to die.
Which, like, is somebody I post almost frequently every day at least a meme about talking about how I want to die. Now, from my aspect, I don't want to die. Like, I enjoy life. Like, I love being around. But the fact knowing that that's going to happen,
You gotta laugh in the face of death.
Yeah, I laugh in the face of death. I know it's going to happen. It's pretty much inevitable. I know eventually at one point I'm going to go. But I'm not going to sit here in fear of it. I'm going to laugh at the fact that I know it's going to happen. I'm going to make the best of what I can do today. And the funniest thing about it is when people actually come to me on Facebook, they go, "Yo, dude, you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I'm fine. It's just funny." Like, think about how funny that is. Like, when I posted it, it said death, the ultimate orgasm, question mark, and I shared that because that's fucking hilarious. Like, every dude wants to go out and fucking orgasm. That's what they're trying to do. But death,
You'll
the
enjoy
ultimate
dying
orgasm.
so much. It's
So
like
do you want to die so much? It's the best orgasm. Sure, that's fucking hilarious. Do I really want to die? No. Am I depressed? Not really.
and that's where I go with the concept, wondering if that comedy might tick off a little bit, is you also look at people too. Everybody's so vastly different. Something that could offend so many other people might enjoy or relate to. So it might be one of those things where somebody might literally be depressed and want to kill themselves and see a meme like that, or somebody might make a comment like that, and it might literally make them laugh due to the fact some people be like, you shouldn't make jokes about suicide. People kill themselves and it's not funny. Okay, I understand.
But
it's
if you
not
make
funny
one
that
of those people who want to kill
I
themselves
understand
laugh,
it's
they might
not funny that people have died from it. But if one of those people that's thinking about suicide listens to that and laughs and goes, "Holy shit, this is a dumb idea," like that's not, the humor in that made me realize how ridiculous this is. You might actually save people.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's the best way to go about things or it's the most politically correct, but in the world today and social media, I've seen plenty of people that get by laughing at the terrible things that they may personally even be going through, that when you're sitting there dogging somebody for something that offends you, a lot of times I notice that when people are offended by something, they're offended by something that they don't even shouldn't even be able to relate to.
Right.
Like, people rising up and saying like, "Oh, you shouldn't kneel at the NFL anthems because it's disrespectful to a veteran." It's like, are you a fucking veteran? Blah, blah, blah. Because Colin Kaepernick actually interviewed a veteran and the veteran told him that that would be a respectable thing to do. So anybody bitching about that, don't bitch at Colin Kaepernick, bitch at the fucking U.S. veteran that told him that's what you should probably do. Now, do I agree with everything that all those guys are doing? Maybe not. But I always stand, I always take my hat off, and I always speak the national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance all the way through every time I hear it, because I do have pride for my country and the people that have served for it. However, if a guy next to me sat down and was against it due to the fact, he might be Jehovah's Witness and they're taught not to stand for propagandas, and to them that's a propaganda thing. But or even if they have maybe experienced something in their life to where it seems like their country betrayed them, stuff like that. Or even it comes down to the tiniest little things where I don't get mad at restaurants now when the waitress or waiter's so busy they can't serve me right when I want to, or when you're standing in line and it's fucking taking forever because the register broke,
Right.
or when I put something up and it said it was on sale, but it's not actually on sale. Somebody just put it in the wrong fucking spot. It's like one of those things where you can literally get mad about it, or you can turn it into something that's not going to ruin your day. And I feel like a lot of people take some of the dark humor and offensive, I do air quotes around that, comments that people make, and they go so hard on going against it, and it's not even something that they should be able to have an opinion about. And you never know, there could be people that it does apply to or do have valid opinions on that are like, yeah, that was funny.
And you'll run into people like I'm pretty good when I'm in like a crowded area and I make comments. There's a lot of times where I'll make a comment and I'll make people gasp, where people are like, "Holy shit!"
You
can't
do it
believe
to
that
me
dude.
even sometimes,
Yeah.
where I'm just like, "Holy fuck, Austin, shut the fuck up."
Where like people can't believe the things I said. And on one of these unnamed Facebook groups I was on, there was a roast me thing. And a girl had posted a picture of herself and she happened to be missing a leg. She had a bionicle leg. and she put
A
roast me.
bionic leg or just a prosthetic?
I think it was bionic. I think it like from her knee down,
Like an exoskeletal
yeah, I think it was like
fucking
I think
She
it
was
was
a
like,
cyborg.
Yeah, she was partly cyborg. So she had one of those, and she put roast me. So hey, you're open game now.
Yeah,
You're
you've
throwing that out
invited
there.
it.
I'll give it to her. Attractive girl. So I put 7 in the face, 6 on the body, 1 out of 2 legs.
Yeah, it was like
That was
7 out of 10. It was like 7 out of 10 on the face, 6 out of 10 on the body, 1 out of 2 on the legs.
And I thought that was a good post.
I thought it was pretty good,
it
too.
was funny. I'm not trying to be a dick. I thought it was funny, and I posted, and she actually messaged me
Yeah.
and said that was the best offensive comment she got. She's like,
Yeah.
most people were just like, you're missing a leg, or I'd fuck that.
You created,
or you'd be easy to rape.
Oh my god, that's a good comment though. That you created a creative way, and that's the thing too. People always, you see how popular these roasts things have gotten. People want to laugh at
people
themselves.
want to be made fun of.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, you know, people personally will enjoy reading negative comments about themselves, but then some other fucking like Susan, I want to see your manager fucking bitch will come in and be like, you shouldn't say that. It's fucking rude.
And that's
It's
when
like,
I think
well,
you should tell Susan to fuck CrossFit off
Yeah.
and get the fuck out of my store.
Why don't you go get some Starbucks and take your fucking child to fucking tiny gym,
kid out of his fucking
and go fucking
gymnastics
to your goddamn
class.
spinning class that you'll ruin with your fucking Krispy Kremes on the way back home.
Right. But I just think it's funny to see like the void we're at now. You're either seeing people who are extremely offended by things or people who are open to being offended. Like
it's almost like how people like going to a haunted house because they like to be scared.
Yeah.
It's like some people enjoy the experience of offensive comments because they have the ability to laugh at that.
Like it's you and me, we don't have a mom.
Yeah.
If I'm in an argument, like a funny argument with someone, like we're insulting each other, if somebody brings up the fact that I don't have a mom or my mom didn't love me or my dad never spent time with me, I love that. I think that's a perfect thing to come at me with because you're right.
Yeah.
And I think it's
funny because it's true.
It's funny because it's true. I know that's where that went, and I know that's where you're going. I can laugh at that because that's the life I lived. Sure, it sucked when it happened, but c'est la vie, you move the fuck on.
And there's also connotations, too, between, like, there's a difference. Okay, I'll bring up kind of this fucked up story one time.
Ooh, let's get it. We're getting deep, boy.
Yeah, so there's a difference between when you guys are joking around and you're just like, well, at least I fucking got a mom, Austin. And it's like, oh, motherfucker.
Yeah, that hurt.
But then there's also a difference between when our stepbrother's dad was getting tattooed
can we
one
tell
time.
This story?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not mentioning names. Our stepbrother's dad was at his tattoo artist getting work done, and his tattoo artist had lost a son at one time.
Yes, I believe he. I can't remember if it was.
I think it was an illness.
Was it an illness?
Yeah, it was an illness that he lost him to, and so he was getting something done. And the tattoo artist, our stepbrother's dad, was kind of a piece of shit at the time, and he brought it up. The tattoo artist brought up to our stepbrother's dad. He's like, you should spend more time with your son. I would give anything to be able to spend more time with my kid. And the guy literally goes, well, at least I was able to keep mine alive. Now, the way he said it,
that would be.
Yeah, the way he said it was intended to be ignorant,
Yes.
which it didn't pay off for him because then the tattoo artist proceeded to literally beat the piss and shit out of the guy to a point where he was almost unrecognizable and was literally covered in his own piss and shit. But there's a difference between obviously when somebody's on a stand-up stage or they're making a comment on the internet.
It should
about
be well
stuff.
known.
There's
what
a difference
you're going
between going for that dark humor and somebody literally being like, fuck you, bitch, you deserve to get raped. Like, that's a
Yeah.
little different.
Like, at no point would I just tell someone, oh, no, you probably deserve to get raped. But could I make a funny rape joke?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I could probably come up with a scenario that would be a funny rape joke.
And
Daniel Tosh is a great explanation of it. He talks about a joke where he replaces his sister's pepper spray for silly string, and his sister gets attacked, and she pulls it out and goes to spray it, and it's just silly string, and then she gets raped by a rapist. It's not real. It didn't really happen, but it's funny because you replace the pepper spray.
It comes into context
For silly string, but it's a rape joke. He's talking about his sister getting raped, and you laugh. But you just laughed at a rape joke. But if he went, yeah, no, my sister gets raped.
For real.
Next joke. No, that's probably not funny. Like,
or if somebody went up to Daniel Tosh and they were like, your sister deserved to get raped.
Yeah,
for real.
That's not funny.
Different than creating. There's a difference between creating a humorous context around something with a negative stigma and literally insulting somebody. There is a difference. And the fact that a lot of people can't understand the difference really kind of shows the lack of intelligence, I feel like.
I would say it shows a lack of progression in people.
Yeah, I feel like it actually does take some sort of minor intelligence to understand comics like Daniel Tosh or some of the jokes.
Like Anthony Jeselnik.
Exactly. And you have to realize where it's going because, like you said, although it is an edgy joke and some people might be offended, there might be people who have been raped that can laugh at those moments because if they can laugh at those moments, it hides the pain of actually experiencing something terrible like that.
Not even hide, but overcome.
Yes. And so, but there may also be people that hear stuff like that and it hurts. And I understand some people find different things funny and different things offensive.
Right. And you're all entitled to
and
have
you're all
that.
entitled to your opinion, but it's literally one of those things. I feel like if it's something that's funny, I wouldn't go into an area where I know people would be offended by that and do those types of jokes. And so it comes to the people trying to gauge their audience. But also, if somebody does do something and you're in an audience where maybe a predominant amount of the people found it humorous and you found it a little bit offensive, maybe just ignore that joke or move away or listen to something different. You know, we were at a party one time where a buddy of mine made a just joke about a Catholic priest and a little boy, and all of a sudden one of the girls like stormed out of the room and the other person was like, she was raped when she was younger. He's like, well, I didn't fucking know that, for one. He's like, I obviously didn't know that, and
it's not aimed particularly to her.
I wasn't aiming at her, and it wasn't even like a joke about like at the expense of a rape victim. It was we all have heard plenty of jokes about how the Catholic Church has many different accounts of child molestation. And he just told a joke about that. And that's an instance where I feel like if he would have known that beforehand, he wouldn't have told the joke because he knew the audience. Right. But also, she was in an audience where a lot of people might have just found it funny because they didn't relate to that kind of situation the way she did. And she could have just been like, I didn't find that joke tasteful. Yeah, I'm just maybe going to walk away from the room for a minute. I'll come back. I'm not going to cause a scene.
As much as you're upset about them telling the joke, they're not trying to aim it towards you to make you feel bad. If you ever were to actually come up, like not like an actual professional comic, to where you look at them and go, hey, that was really offensive, they're probably just going to tell you to fuck off because that doesn't matter to them. But like if you're in like a party setting or anything like that and like a friend of yours makes a joke that like directly attacks you and you feel like it directly attacks you, no, it's not. Yeah. No, it's not coming for you. They are not aiming for you. They are aiming for the
unless they're like,
factor.
Hey, remember when Amy got raped? That was funny. That's fucked up.
Yeah, that's fucked up. But if you make a joke about just rape in general or molestation in general and you are in that area...
terrorist attacks or just terrible events in general.
Yeah, if you're somewhat involved with any of that thing, those aren't directed to you. Those are directed to the crowd because it makes people uncomfortable and be able to laugh about it. It's not trying to be like, hey, remember this bad shit that happened in your life? Think that over again. That's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to make a light on a dark situation because that's how you do it. Comedy It's tragedy over time.
It's almost one of those things where it's like, I know you have maybe some painful memories and thoughts about these kind of things. Maybe I can replace, you obviously don't want to forget the bad things that maybe have happened to you or our country
Right,
or
and that's
things.
what I'm saying.
But it might say, I can give you a spin on it where maybe next time you think about this, instead of being traumatized or upset, you remember a dark joke about it, and it kind of just cheers you up, and you can go about your day in a positive thing rather
You
than
certainly
dwell
hope it doesn't
on the
happen
negative.
again.
Yes, no.
But that's not what they're saying. They're not trying to pull you in for something like that. Like one that I really appreciate by somebody, Donald Glover, tells the joke about telling white dudes to start use the N-word.
Yes.
He says, we're probably going to lose some of you on the way,
but you need to start
it's
doing
going to
it.
help.
Yeah.
Because the more appropriate you make the word, appropriation, you make the word, just like he says, he calls his seatbelt the N-word when he's trying to get it on because it's too latched. Like, stuff like that is very common. Like, people do that all the time. Like, never in my world ever have I walked up to a black dude and called him the N-word. That would just has never happened. But I definitely have walked outside and
I've had more black people come up and call me the N-word.
Yes. Yeah, I've definitely walked outside and saw a flat tire and said it.
Yeah.
And been like, oh, well, because I got a fucking flat tire. I'm not calling a specific. No one's around. I'm not calling anyone that. I just realized I got a shitty situation. It's a shitty word to describe a shitty situation. And he's right. I mean, that's what the word is for.
Yeah,
it's not a race. Like, the actual definition of the word is actually just describing something as unclean, unsanitary, or unnormal. We used it to describe, like, the white at the time, unfortunately, used it to describe slaves at the time, and it became appropriately created to the black culture, and they used it in their music, and now for white people to use it, it becomes kind of a racist term. Now, Donald Glover, somebody who is some sort of mix, can see that he can use the word, but it's actually a word that he shouldn't use. He realizes that it's kind of really not even an insult to either party. It's just a word, just like saying fuck or shit or anything. You're really not supposed to just walk around yelling fuck or shit.
Yeah.
But you can't.
Or even like faggot for gay people when it's a bundle of sticks.
We've
used that word and put it towards a connotation. Why can't we then take that word and kill the connotation behind it?
Like right now, I have to refer to the word as the N-word. I can literally not say right now the word without somebody getting on our case about it.
Or us potentially getting charged with something or maybe murdered.
Yeah, and in no case are we trying to use it like that.
Yeah.
That's literally what I'm saying. Like, there are literally words out there that people cannot say because of the connotation it's holding up. Are you as a person really saying that words are higher than what people can say?
Yeah.
Or like
it's literally the power behind a word comes down to the general consensus of the word. So if we as a people determine that that word is stupid and means nothing, then it'll mean nothing.
Yeah.
But if us as a general population say, we can't say that word.
It wasn't too long ago.
That's just like over in Europe, they use words that we would find highly offensive over here that they just throw out like any other word, and maybe vice versa.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't too long. I think was Khalifa who let the girl on stage?
I'm not sure. I have no idea.
There was an artist. Don't quote me. There was an artist. I want to say it was Khalifa. Let a white girl on stage to sing his song.
Yeah.
And she came on and she said the N-word, and it was in the lyrics, and people lost their shit that she said it. Sure, she probably shouldn't have said it because of what the word proclaims now. But if you're bringing someone on stage to sing your music and that's your lyric, why are you going to fault her for saying it?
Yeah.
I understand that's your culture and that's what you're taking on, but if you're going to appropriate it in the way that you can use it to lyrics and bring people up to sing about it, I don't think you should be also using it as a backfire, calling people bad people for saying it.
Yeah. If
I don't think it works both ways. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
That way.
And that's why... and even I was watching some of Tom Segura's stand-up the other day where he talks about there's not many white people that you could come up and use a racial slur towards white people, and they're just going to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah. You call me a cracker, I'm just gonna laugh at you.
Yeah.
Like, that's not gonna do anything to me.
Yeah, or even, I mean, we even have, there's a Mexican kid that works with us, and he's even said, he's like, if somebody said that to me, I would just be like, okay.
What, a Mexican kid? Well, yeah, of course, but like,
he was said if you were to use any type of Mexican racial slur to me, I'd just kind of laugh at it and be like, yeah, I'm Mexican. Cool. Like,
yeah,
no
like
big
that,
deal.
like that's how.
And that's where he's like, and even I was working with another guy from us that's black, and he said his favorite jokes. He was like, I don't care. I think those are some of the funniest jokes because I don't play to a lot of the typical black person stereotypes. And so I find it funny because it's my culture that I actually don't even fit into. So I find them funny. And that's where it's literally, we just need to find a way as a general consensus to not only take jokes that might dig deep into cultural stereotypes or dark things such as depression and suicide and terrible events such as the Holocaust and 9/11 and things like that, all things that are generally viewed as terrible things that people tend terrible things that people have done, terrible things that people have said, things like that, and turn them into a comedic thing. And instead of focusing on them all as the terrible things that happen, I'm not saying forget them or forgive those things.
But I'm saying what happened was bad.
Yes, but finding a way to put a comedic twist on it might help certain people that have deep ties to those situations when they listen to it, see a comedic side. They always say, there's always a bright side.
Yeah.
Dark humor can be the bright side to somebody's dark situation.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the dark, as dark as you can get on a joke and make someone feel so uncomfortable, I think for you to be able to understand a joke, there is a way that you could have written the joke. If somebody tells you a 9/11 joke that hits you to your core, that you're like, wow, that was bad. Like, one of mine that I have written is, I believe the quickest deja vu in history is when the second plane hit. Now, that is a joke that I wrote that I expect for people to react like, holy fuck.
Shit.
But everyone will relate and know it's a joke.
Yes,
like, I am not telling you, let's start hitting buildings with planes. That's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to show you bad things can happen and I can still get a reaction, and all of you go, but it's funny because he's doing it with a comedic relief. He's not I'm not doing propaganda for terrorism. I don't want that. I'm just pushing forward the notion that we can move forward after things like that happen.
Putting an edgy spin on a bad situation, so when people think about it, they might be like, do you remember how terrible we felt as a people when that terrible thing happened? Or it might be like 9/11. Yeah, that joke was kind of funny that guy told about it one time.
Right.
And then instead of feeling negative, like I said, never forget, never forgive, but at the same time, you don't have to feel terrible about everything. Yeah. And so that's where we kind of got on a really long tangent about that.
I know we did, but this is like a topic I always wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
like, I thought
it was a good one.
I just cannot deal with how, like, some people deal with the dark humor.
And for the kind of people that might be listening to this, we are going to say things from time to time that are edgy and stuff like that. And I hope nobody that listens, even if they're personal friends or anybody that's new to listening, thinks that we're ever targeting a specific person when we talk about things. It's one of those things that you might even know somebody that may be struggling with something like that and might find the comedic relief in it that might save somebody or change the way that they remember something so much to where instead of just the pain and negativity, they might get a laugh out of it and be able to change their day.
Right.
That was really all I had for the Debatables. The one last thing that I had on here was a segment we might start doing. This was just literally a random thing that popped into my head while I was cooking some smoked vegetables the other weekend.
In a crock pot?
Yeah. No, in a little mini little tortilla wrap. And it was an idea for a fucked up kids cartoon called Robin the Cradle.
Okay.
And
we all know it's Robin the Cradle.
Yeah, we know the term Robin the Cradle. When I was 14, I actually dated a 19-year-old. And so that would be something that somebody would say to somebody older dating somebody younger.
Right. And
Todd McComas from Heartland. Somebody would say he's Robin the Cradle.
I was told it before when I was 18 dating a 23-year-old.
Yes.
I got it as well.
Yeah, they were a cradle robber. Also, I guess a term that they use for people who are pedophiles.
Yeah.
A little more extreme.
That's a little bit farther down the line,
But this was an idea. It's called Robbing the Cradle, so it has an innuendo, and it's basically a cartoon about various baby toys in a room teaching the baby about life through the baby's point of view, and it could be animated, be a little cartoon. The main character would be the cradle that the baby's laying in, named Robin, and it could, be like a cradle that's got like a robin's head on it, or it's shaped
even
like
just
the bird.
a face.
Yeah, or even a face, and they just call it Robin. And there would be like the mobile would be alive, and then a little ball, or like
a stuffed teddy bear. The blanket could have a face.
Yeah, they would all just be different things, and they would constantly just drop fucked up innuendos to where like
It's
a little
kinda
kid
hinting
watching
at-
it would be like, "Oh, it's like my room. I'm a baby." But then to the parents watching would be like, "What the fuck?"
Well, you know what? In actuality, that kind of happened in a lot of cartoons.
Oh yeah,
There's a lot of innuendos back in like the
there was
90s.
the one where he went on Rocko's Modern Life. There's one where he went on a date, and it was like a jackhammering contest, and literally the sign it was said like "Welcome to the 1998 jack off contest." And there was ones where
he's
like,
a sex phone operator.
Yeah, he's a sex phone operator. There was one where Filbert, when he was singing, he was like a singer, and one of the songs he sung about was two turtles slithering away and fucking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, and if you listen to the words that he's singing, he's basically talking about two turtles fucking.
Johnny Bravo constantly was trying to pick up bitches.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of innuendos in a lot of shows for cartoons for kids. Pinky and the Brain.
Pepe Le Pew. Always trying to get with fucking chick things, and there was all kinds of innuendos in shows like that. Or they even said like the grandpa's head on Hey Arnold, if you outline from the top of his head to his chin, made a dick and balls.
They say the same thing about like Ariel. What was that? The
Little Mermaid. One of the towers looks just like a dick.
The towers look like dicks.
Yeah, and so
the
you would
sex
just
sign and fucking
Lion King when he lays down the flowers and they fly off.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of little innuendos and stuff that would be humorous for the adults to watch, but also innocent enough where the kid wouldn't get the innuendos. It'd still be a good TV show. So if anybody wants to buy the rights to that, I own full creative rights to that. If there's any studios who happen to listen to this that are interested, or if you happen to be in the film or animation game, you just hit us up and we'll work something out. We're going to head and close things out with our beer review. This week's beer is the Modus Mandarina Indian Pale Ale. So we're going to jump right into that.
I'm not made for paving long roads. I ain't cut out to climb highline poles, but I'm pretty good at drinking beer.
Gavin, do you know where I like to drink the most?
Where's that?
I'm going to give you one guess.
If I got one guess, I'm going to go ahead and say Barrel's Tap House.
You'd be right there, friend.
That's my favorite place to drink.
Yeah, is it? Do you know right where it's located?
It's right at the corner of Highway N and Highway K. At the corner
of
Highway N and Highway K.
What's it behind?
AutoZone.
Yeah? What's it across from?
Steak and Shake.
And?
Playoffs. And Schnucks on the other side. Schnucks. There's a bunch of shit there, all right?
There's a
Just
lot
get
of
to
shit.
the corner of Highway K and Highway N in O'Fallon, Missouri. You're going to pull behind AutoZone. You're going to see a big-ass round door. It's going to say 109 on
Looks
it.
like a barrel.
And you know why it says 109 on it? Because there's 109 fucking beers on tap in there. And you're going to walk in that bitch and say Inside the Pocket sent you. And the nicest motherfucking people in the world are going to sit your ass down and feed you some of the best food you've ever had. And you're going to have some badass beer while you're
And they
there.
go, what do you want to drink?
And you're going to say, I want something good.
Within your 109 chosen things and what you don't have in bottles, so you probably have more than 109 actual beers on tap.
And they got free samples. They got appetizers.
They have appetizers. I don't know if they got free samples.
They do have free samples.
They do have free samples. I was corrected.
They got arcade games.
They do have a couple.
They got awesome bathrooms and a party room.
They do have a party room and a Missouri room, which you can rent out going up to the bar and go and ask for whoever's at bar for the rent out area for the Missouri room or the game room. The fees are different and it depends on the day of the week that you go ahead and choose them on.
And they have NFL Sunday tickets, so come in every Sunday to hang out with us watching some football.
And they're selling Inside the Pocket and
Barrels
109
t-shirts.
Brew-S
Don't
t-shirts.
steal anymore.
Yeah, don't steal anymore. Somebody stole one. We're still trying to...
And multiples.
Cut
They
a
updated
dude's
me
dick.
yesterday. They've had 3 more stolen.
Are you fucking serious?
I'm serious.
Oh my god.
So they're all locked up in a case now, so you have to buy them, you motherfuckers.
Jesus Christ. So we've had... Wait. Let's talk about this for a second. Is that a positive or a negative that we're having shirts stolen?
I think it's positive because free advertisement, but it's also a negative because it's not free because we paid for the shirts.
Yeah, I also paid like $300 for those shirts.
Yikes. All right. Well, why don't you tell us what beer we're talking about today?
We're doing the Modus Mandarina. It's an Indian Pale Ale. And I assume
I think it's Modus Mandarina.
Oh, it is Mandarina. Yeah, because it's probably...
Like, isn't Mandarin like a type of orange?
Mandarin, I believe, is a type of race.
Yeah, no, it's a language, and you can also get Mandarin oranges.
Okay. You know more about that than I do. But I guess it's a type of orange
It's
beer.
by Ska Brewing, brah.
Yeah, I will give it to them because they do have an appealing can. The can
Yeah,
is
it
actually
kind of
nice.
reminds me of Reservoir Dogs, the movie, but all the people's heads are oranges.
Yes, and I do like on the side of the can, it has kind of like just a dude
It's a
who's
dude dancing.
with a
It's
chick.
actually a skeleton
skeleton.
in a zoot suit kissing a woman who looks like an old style Sonic waitress.
Yeah, and it says "lip up, fatty" right above them.
So apparently, if you drink these, you're trying to kiss you some fatties.
Which
So
I'm actually kind of a fan of that. It made me laugh.
it's a funny. It is a cool ass can.
Yeah, it is a really appealing can.
I am a little confused at the top. It's got words all around the brim: crush, recycle, reticula, smarten,
Halftime,
recycle,
bevy,
forest,
zest,
Kyle.
recycle.
So I don't know what that even means, but I'm into it. It's a handcrafted Durango Indian Pale Ale dry hop with Mandarina Bavaria hops brewed with orange peels.
I will say that it's on the higher end, which I guess, Gavin, you probably didn't even notice if you looked, but it's actually at a 6.8 alcohol percentage per can.
Yikes. I will say it is a pretty strong beer.
It is a strong beer.
I actually don't enjoy it that much.
How many did you have during the podcast?
I had one because I've had a lot to drink already. We had a pitcher and some beers and some pickle shots.
Okay, I had the same amount, and I've had 3 during the podcast.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it as much.
I will say, for me, I did enjoy it. It is like a heavier Blue Moon in my aspect. Higher alcohol content. But if you let it sit too long, it gets real bad. You got to drink them quick. I think if you let them get like somewhat warm, they're really not that good, and they're almost cringeworthy.
It's orange. I taste the orange, but it's also a strong hop flavor. It says it's a pale ale, but it tastes like an IPA to me.
So it's by Ska Brewing in Durlando. Is that what it says right there?
Durango.
Durango? All right.
It's from Durango Co.
Yeah, the Durango Company.
Yeah.
So I will say that the can was jarring because if you follow me or Gavin on Snapchat, you'll actually see, actually really just me, you'll see my post I had of us picking it up today.
It looked good. It's an eye-catching can.
It is.
I'm the
it's
one that
very
chose
accurate.
this one this week.
Yeah, normally I choose them on my way over to doing the recording, but I went ahead and let Gavin go ahead and choose this week's.
Yep. And so out of a 10, I want to hear your review first.
I want to hear yours first.
But all right. I'm going to give this one out of a 10. I'm not big on the flavor, but I do see how a lot of people would enjoy it. It does have the orange flavor.
I want to know what you think. I don't care what the other people think.
The can's awesome. I'm going to give this one a 4.6.
Okay. So I am going to ask you one question.
Okay.
You gave it a 4.6.
Yep.
What would you rate your standard domestic beer? Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Light? What is your rating for those?
I would give those just standard 6.
6?
Yeah. Because they're a beer that I'm not going to say that
That's
it's
high
like
for a standard.
this is a super tasty beer. That's a beer. It's not bad. I can literally drink them all night long and enjoy them. And that's just my standard. 5, 50%'s failing.
Yeah,
So
but I give her all
60%.
my domestics 5.5.
Yeah, I'm going to call it 6 on mine.
Okay.
So that kind of shows the way we judge things.
Okay.
So a 4 point, what did I call this one?
4.6.
4.6. I could not sit there and drink it the entire time, as I could only drink one.
Yeah.
I could see how a lot of people would enjoy it. It's got a cool can. I'm giving it a 4.6.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I'm giving it a solid 5. I mean, it seems like a beer that if I bought a 6-pack of these, I'd have no problem downing it. If I went to a bar and they were at a Blue Moon, this would be my second guess. Because
Really?
I would give Blue Moon a 5. Blue Moon, Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller
See,
Light.
I don't consider all those the same playing
I give
field.
them all the same. Like, they're all just normal beers. I could drink all those all day, any of them.
Yeah, but I would actually, because I would say as far as taste, I enjoy Blue Moon more than I would just your typical light beer.
And I wouldn't say that. I would look at them
like
all.
I would give like Bud Light a 6. I would give Blue Moon 6.4, 6.5.
Really?
Yeah.
I would not. I would give Bud Light and Blue Moon the same score.
Yeah, I'm a big Blue Moon guy.
Huh. All right. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just give this the standard 5. I know it's a rookie move, not giving it a point afterwards, but I think it's just run of the mill. It's a normal beer. It's the same thing that I would give. I might even give Blue Moon a 5.1. Yeah. I would say I'd give Blue Moon a little bit over this.
Because you're a favorite.
It would be my second option. If Blue Moon was there, I would choose that over this.
So between the two of us, average rating of 4.8. We'll have the pictures of it up on the Instagram later on. Like I said in our last podcast, we got a website up. We've been posting blogs on there. We're trying to post more on everything.
I'm going to be getting to you guys with some vlogs. Sorry, I was going to do that earlier, but I haven't got like all onto my stuff and setting it all up and how I want to do it because I'm going to be doing it while I'm driving to and from work. I'm just trying to get it up to where it's as safe as possible for me to do that.
And we'll also be posting our projections every week on our socials. And we've been sharing some dank memes on our Facebook page. So follow us on everything. Subscribe, review, and rate the podcast on iTunes. It greatly helps us, and we would appreciate it a ton. We once again apologize for not having one last week, but we hope you enjoyed the extra long episode this week as we're almost to 2 hours and 40 minutes. We hope you guys enjoy your Labor Day and have a great week, and we will talk to you next time.
Yay! Inside the pocket of a clown is a sad place to hang around. Just watching smiles turn into